Just a Rinnegan? That's not enough. I want the Tenseigan too. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement: this story is 100% epic fiction, so please don't attempt real magic. The results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 326. Yuanjie walked over and dropped more than a dozen bottles of recovery potion for her. Zhengai Yun raised her head. She didn't understand. Why was the other party so kind? You should not be old. In fact, you are not bad in nature, just a little brutal. I don't hate you, but thank you. Zheng Yun was stunned. Thank me for what? Thank you for making me clear about my shortcomings, and fighting with a god king realm like you has no chance of victory. Zheng Yun was very useful after hearing these words, and the haze of being abused and beaten by the little white cat was swept away. She was back to being the confident proud daughter of heaven. HMPH, just so you know. If it weren't for helpers, I would have succeeded. You wait, one day, I'll take yours. I want to hear you say to me in person, my swallowing is stronger than that misty one. After speaking, she swept away the recovery potion, turned into body again, and plunged into the sea, leaving Yuanjie and Yi Suking messy in the wind. Yi Suking was speechless for a moment. She originally thought that women in this world should be more reserved. Zheng Yun's appearance can be regarded as breaking her cognition. And Yuanjie had a big face, and he unknowingly provoked a woman. It really wasn't his intention, and for him, it was simply a disaster. Although Zhengai is a descendant of God, his father is the legendary Eastern Emperor Tai, and his mother is the legendary Yinglong. As the heir of the two primeval heavenly gods, she naturally would not be bad. However, Yuanjie really doesn't have many ideas. First of all, he is not worthy of the noble identity of others. How can he be deserved? Can Xia Longyu fall in love? He prefers that the other party is just gambling for a while. But then again, men seem to have a romantic dream. That is to become a dragon knight and do what spring does to cherry trees. I have to say that Zheng Yun is indeed very beautiful, and Yuanjie almost broke the gong in an instant. Then he calmed down and found that it was not practical at all. Putting aside the huge disparity in the identities of the two, he and she did not have the slightest emotional foundation at all. Yi Suking leaned over and asked with a smile, "What's wrong? Are you moved?" Yuanjie shook his head lightly. "Don't mention this kind of thing. I'm not a person who can't walk when I see a beautiful woman. This is Yinglong. Don't you want to be a glorious and great dragon knight?" "I don't really think about it. I don't feel it." Yi Suking gave a little water on his face. "Okay, let's trust you." The two crossed the passage of time and space and returned to the Byakugan Imperial Palace. Not long after, a man flew in the sea area, and if Yuanjie was present, he could recognize his true face at a glance. Loki. His expression exuded a fierce aura, and he looked at the small island not far away. "Ragnarok, I can't wait." Boom. He laughed wildly and rushed to the center of the island without hesitation. Loki took out the dagger, and according to rumors, this dagger is invincible. Even if the opponent's aura armor, it can be split with a knife. I don't believe it. No one in this world can cure you. From the ancient six-winged Proteus, if you hear the call of a devout disciple, come out. Your believers are suffering and need God's help. He cut open his palm, and scarlet blood flowed from his palm, drop by drop, into a huge stone statue of the eye. Suddenly, the stone statue shined. In this world, everyone arrogantly calls themselves gods, and when the false gods face the real gods, it is the moment of your despair. Yuanjie suddenly sensed a fluctuation, and he looked at the eastern sea in surprise. This is the breath of the upper realm? He was overjoyed. No matter who opened the Pandora's box of communication in the upper realm, it didn't matter. The ancestral land of the Yuan family has not been found on land, and he guessed that in 100,000 years, he was afraid that he had sunk to the bottom of the sea. Unexpectedly, there was such a huge surprise today. Yuanjie didn't even think about it, and directly turned into a meteor and flew to the eastern sea of the Sharingan dynasty. And Zheng Yun, who was healing his injuries in the undersea dragon palace, noticed the abnormality at the first time. Her face suddenly turned white. "Is it? Father deduced me in this realm? Send someone to get me back?" She didn't care about healing her injuries and flew out of the sea. She looked into the distance. There was an island, and a dazzling pillar of light fell from the sky, exuding a terrifying aura. Not the power of the Father Emperor, Zheng Yun muttered, and when she flew closer, she saw a 5-year-old baby. She kindly reminded the other party not to go near there, it was dangerous. Yuanjie inexplicably turned around and looked at Zheng Yun. The two exchanged eyes for a minute, and Zheng Yun was 1 head and 2 bigger. These eyes? Is it the Yuan family? Her expression was startled. Unexpectedly, he actually has children. She suddenly retreated a little. She is a descendant of the gods, how can she be subservient to people? If you want to do it, be a wife. Never for a concubine. There are many excellent men under the sun. Why unrequited love a flower? Who do you call a brat? Yuanjie frowned, his face full of displeasure. Aren't you just a brat? Zheng Yun retorted. You're a brat. Lao Tzu is the supreme emperor of the contemporary Sharingan dynasty. Zheng Yun was puzzled. Supreme emperor? Compared with Emperor Yuan, who is bigger? He's my good grandson. Yuanjie straightened his waist, extremely proud. Zheng Yun. Yuanjie didn't have time to joke with her. He turned around with a solemn face, and continued to look at the pillar of light over there. Who are they? Zheng Yun came up, thinking of having a good relationship with him, but was glared at by the other party with disgust. I think they should be the Birdman. There are 3 major forces in the upper realm, namely the Eastern Divine Court, the Western Olympus, and the Southern Hades Palace, and the Birdman is the angel god race, from Olympus. Yuanjie looked at her strangely and asked suspiciously, how do you know? Because I'm from the upper realm, good fellow. Brother Tian suddenly didn't know what to say for a while. I want to know, how is the Yuan family of the upper realm developing now? Zheng Yun thought for a while. She used to stay at home and did not understand the outside world. After thinking for a long time, he squeezed out a sentence. The Yuan family, it seems to be one of the 5 great god races in the east of the upper realm now. As for whether he has joined the Eastern Divine Court, I don't know. Okay, I see. Thank you. Yuanjie did not continue to ask. He only needed to know that it was enough that the Yuan family had not fallen, which meant that his wife, father, and brother should be doing well in the upper realm. I just don't know when I will meet them. I really miss them a little, and I don't know what realm they are now, and whether their lazy brother has cultivated well. After knowing this information, Yuanjie felt that this road to the upper realm could never be taken. Since it was the angelic Proteus who teleported down, it meant that the end must be in Olympus, not the Far East. You have to quickly find the ancestral land of the Yuan family. At this time, Zheng Yun quietly came up and beeped in a low voice, the ancestral land of the Yuan family you said, where do I seem to have seen it? Chapter 327. Yuanjie grabbed Zheng Yun's shoulder, and said with a trembling voice, this statement is true? Zheng Yun nodded dumbly, I seem to have seen it near the Dragon Palace, and there is a stone with a large golden Yuan character carved on it. Yes, it must be. In the former side of the Yuan family, there is indeed an incomparably majestic boulder at the door, with the ancestor Yuan god on it, and a Yuan character is engraved on it with the power of heavenly mana. That character represents the supreme glory. In the simple strokes, every observation has a different understanding. There were many children of the Yuan family, stationed outside the door all day long, just to understand the mystery. Quick! Show me around. Zheng Yun was stunned. Don't stop the Birdman from going down? Yuanjie said disdainfully, although I have never been in contact with the Birdman, listening to you say this, it is just a small branch of Olympus, and there is nothing to fear. Zheng Yun is speechless. Even if it is a branch of Western forces, it is not something you can stop? After thinking about it, indeed, staying here can only wait, and it can't stop the other party's path to mortal descent at all. Okay, Zheng Yun was urged to hurry, turned around and plunged into the sea. Yuanjie followed behind, sighing at the wonderfulness of the deep sea. It didn't take long for his eyes to moisturize. Sure enough, it was the former side of the Taku Yuan family, and familiar memories flooded into my heart. Even if it is now 100,000 years later, in the ruins of the broken wall, it will no longer be glorious in the past. However, for a person who has lived here for tens of thousands of years, everything is the beginning of the story. Yuanjie stroked the boulder, which inevitably left traces of erosion by the years. Once upon a time, he and his brother Yuanjie realized the Tao together. Going forward, there is the Yuan family ancestral temple, the original splendid and powerful building, only the bare foundation remains. Today, I am married to my wife Lu Fan, and I will never be separated in this life and this life. I do. Yuanjie seemed to see a pair of young men in front of the ancestral temple, under the witness of the clansmen, tying the knot. At that time, he fell in love at first sight with his wife Lu Fengshuang, and he braved great pressure to marry each other into the Yuan family. Because Lu Fengshuang is a mortal without any physique. Perhaps, because of this, he gave birth to the mortal species of Yuanjie, and everything is fated. Due to the high difficulty of combining the Son of God with mortals, even if Lu Fengshuang was later transformed into a god by the secret method of the Yuan family, the core is still unremarkable, and for more than 10,000 years, his stomach has not moved. Finally, with difficulty, she became pregnant, and it was the only mortal among Yuanjie's 3 children, Yuanjie. In that chaotic world, Yuanjie's 3 sons and daughters, the eldest son died in battle, the younger son was incompetent, and only the second daughter was sent to the upper realm to heal her injuries. Therefore, he chose to stay in the mortal world to ensure that his youngest son Yuanjie was born and his life was safe. Mortals live for 100 years, and they thought they would pass soon. But on the day that Yuan's natural wife gave birth, the accident still happened. The Z family led 10 of the 12 guardian families to launch an attack on the Yuan family under the slogan, "The Yuan family is not destroyed, and heaven is unbearable." "Dad, go quickly, leave me alone." Yuanjie faced the heavenly soldier divine general who could not see his head in the air, and his face was still plain. He knew that he couldn't walk, and as a descendant of the primeval god race, his ordinary physique was his biggest mistake. Perhaps from the moment he was born, it was a mistake. On the day that Yuanjie gave birth, the sky descended with a blood moon, and everything looked so tragic. Yuanjie's gaze was tender, and he stroked his beloved wife's bulging belly, which was their flesh and bones, and the hope of their birth. "Even if you die, keep your child safe. Dad, trouble you to take Xiaoji to the upper realm? I have a feeling that he should not be like his father. He is a waste. He is her child. Which parent does not want their son to become a dragon?" Yuanjie put on his battle armor, without saying a word. His expression was very resolute. Even if the other party had thousands of troops, what was he afraid of? Whether it is Yuanjie, or his child Yuanjie, it is his Yuantian's bloodline. In this battle, only you are allowed to win, not to lose. "I'm leaving. Xiaosu will protect you. Don't leave this room." Xiaosu is Yuanjie's maid, and although Xiu Wei only has the God King realm, it is enough. Yuanjie pushed open the door. One person faced 1,000 armies alone, and one person ruled for thousands of years. "Dad," Yuanjie looked at the figure who was younger than him, and his heart was sad. "I didn't expect that I had been sheltered by him since I was a child, but I had never." At this time, his wife Lu Liaonan let out a scream, and Yuanjie quickly ran over and held his wife's hand. "Xiaoyan, follow me, let you suffer, both are mortals, and you can imagine how many white eyes they have suffered in the Yuan family, where everyone is like a dragon. No, marrying you is the greatest happiness of my life, sister-in-law, come on. The kid is coming out." Xiaosu's face was full of anxiety, and she used her mana to relieve her pain. Yuanjie fought bloody battles with the rebels for a day and a night, and when he heard the baby's cry, he laughed. He couldn't wait to meet the child he had never met. However, the other party was pressing on step by step, not giving him the slightest chance to leave. God King Seal. A huge talisman suddenly covered the sky and shrouded the entire Yuan family. Very good, you can't help it after all. The green glow in Yuanjie's eyes was magnificent, and a talisman marked 10 times larger than it was fiercely pressed on it. The two seals collided, emitting shocking power, almost raising the entire Yuan family to the ground. The rebels noticed that there was a house underneath that remained unharmed under such a powerful impact. Ho-ha, Yuanjie, is that waste son hiding from you there? Unexpectedly, you, who are invincible in your life, will also be trapped by 7 emotions and 6 desires. Why bother? If I were you, I definitely wouldn't stay here. I heard that the spiritual energy of the upper realm is more than 100 times richer than this realm, and you and I practice. Isn't it an invincible heart that we cultivate? What kind of fetters? It will only be a stumbling block for you to become a god. Only one talisman that was bigger than the last one replied to him. No, you're wrong. Because of this kind of thinking, you will never reach my heights. God also has 7 emotions and 6 desires, and the heavenly court is just a projection of the world in mythology. Yuanjie condensed spiritual power, and in a moment, The entire sky was shrouded in dozens of God King seals. Crazy, this must be a madman. Some of the rebels wailed, and they naturally knew what a terrifying skill the Divine King Seal was. Boom, one after another, the Divine King Seal destroyed the original tens of millions of people and horses into a fallen army with only tens of thousands of people left. Many people couldn't even make a scream, so they were lost in the huge talisman and were slapped into meatloaf. It is worthy of being the top Xianjiao of the Yuan family and leading a new era. Terrifying, what other moves, just use them. Yuanjie looked proud, and the cloak behind him moved with the wind. The rebels who survived by luck had solemn faces, and they had long known about Yuanjie's ability before they came. Can reproduce all moves unconditionally. The same move, in their hands, and released in Yuanjie's hands, that is not the same concept at all. What Yuanjie was afraid of was not only the replica, but the most terrifying thing was that the spiritual power in his body was even mellow than ordinary people. If it is said that the same powerhouse of the God King realm, the content of the spiritual power pool in the body is 100, then Yuanjie has reached a terrifying 100,000. Even if you only used a simple C-grade ninjutsu fireball technique, in Yuanjie's hands, it was Banai's great fire extinguished. Therefore, the rebels have been suppressing their cultivation, not daring to make a move and a style, and fighting hand-to-hand with physical skills. However, the physical skills of the Yuan family Xianjiao were still invincible in the world, and the strong man of the Z family couldn't help it for a while, so he broke the agreement and made the God King seal. Guys, if you press XIUA like this again, there is no hope of victory. Let's give it a go, the Z family powerhouse suggested. Which of the surviving rebels is not peerless Xianjiao? All of them have unique skills, but they are also afraid that one day they will fall into their famous skills. However, I also saw the battle just now, and with physical skills alone, I couldn't hurt at all. The rebels looked firm one by one, and nodded. I can only give it a go. They are gambling, betting on Yuanjie's spiritual power, and there will be a moment of exhaustion. What they didn't know was that when they were whispering, Yuanjie had already recovered the spiritual power consumed by releasing the God King seal just now. Consume quickly, recover faster, otherwise how to say, the Yuan family is all perverted? You simply can't look at the Yuan family Xianjiao from the perspective of an ordinary cultivator. Gate of the Heavenly Gods. Great Desolate Starfall. Death Lotus. The rebels pinched their own famous skills one by one. Most of them are not pure spells, but big moves that are integrated with physical skills, and they are not stupid. Sure enough, Yuanjie did not replicate. He still used the God King seal to fight, and the rebels were overjoyed. They thought that Yuanjie was like this, and they could only replicate pure spell moves. As everyone knows, the other party is just paralyzing their psychology. Just as more and more rebels were charging excitedly, Yuanjie moved. He jumped into the enemy army and bloomed the Death Lotus, a sharp blade, constantly harvesting the lives of the rebels. The rebels were stunned, saying that they couldn't replicate the physical trick. That's it? Yuanjie fought against tens of thousands of rebels with the power of one person, and when he was killed in the dark, there was harmony in the house below. Lady, look, there is a handle. Yuanjie smiled stupidly. At this time, the family thinking did not favor sons. Because no matter what family the woman marries, she sees the strength of the woman's mother's family. If the mother's family is stronger than the husband's family, then the husband can only be the son-in-law, and the child must also have the mother's surname, so the birth of boys and girls is the same. The most important thing is to improve the strength of your own family, and you should not blame the gender of your offspring. Lu Lianian's face was sweaty, and he took Xiao Yuanjie weakly, and gently helped him wipe off the white dirt on the surface. This is the crystallization of her and her lover, although she looks wrinkled at the moment, and she can't see any handsome appearance, but after all, it is her own flesh and bones, which is more pleasing to the eye than anything in the world. Xiao Yuanjie was just born, with his eyes closed, fluttering his little short legs, babbling in his teeth. How about letting my father take a look? Yuanji's face was sad, and he replied abruptly, Father, there is still a fierce battle on it. Alice, being born in our family made you suffer. Perhaps this child, his birthday, will be the death date of his parents in the future. It is difficult for them to imagine how unbearable the pain of an infant in the future will lack the love of his parents in his future childhood and adolescence. However, as a mortal self, he could not give him any good future, only life. At this moment, Yuanjie, who had never minded his physique, felt heartache for the first time. At this moment, the door of the room was suddenly violently pushed open. With a bang, the three people inside were blown up. Yuanjie and Sheng hurriedly handed Xiao Yuanjie to the maid Xiao Su, only she may be able to protect the safety of this child. He stood in front of his wife without hesitation, stretched out his hands, and looked at the visitor with determination in his eyes. Definitely. The three people in the room were instantly restrained in their actions. Yuanjie and Sheng could only watch, and the other party approached the maid Xiao Su's side step by step, and held the baby in his hand. They did not want to harm this little baby, but planned to cultivate it into their own force. Having seen the terrifying talent of the Yuan family, they also want to have such a genius. At that time, after the age of 8, if the other party is a waste person like his parents, then it will be embarrassing. They will not hesitate to kill him, and there will be no future trouble. If he has a special pupil power like his grandfather, then he will become a fertility tool of the 12 guardian spirit family, and pass on the excellent bloodline of the Yuan family. Let go of my grandson. Yuanjie killed from the air with anger on his face. Unexpectedly, the next moment, the other party actually aimed the knife at the baby in his arms. And he said with a smile, "You dare to take a step forward, you should know what I will do." Yuanjie's figure froze, and he gritted his teeth and stared at the other party. And at this moment, after Yuanjie and Sheng was untied, he rushed to the man next to him for the first time. His hand was pierced by the blade, but he didn't say a word, not a single groan of pain. Yay! He pushed the man against the wall, and the two fought over the baby. Yuanjie moved, and he instantly came to the man's side, greeting the other party with one punch after another. He did not dare to use spells for fear of hurting the baby. You, look for death? The man knew exactly this weakness of Yuanjie, and his left hand turned into a blade with spiritual ki, and stabbed it into the opponent's body. At this time, Li Tiansha climbed down from the hospital bed, and she hugged the man's legs and prevented him from moving. I don't know why, the two parents who were originally just mortals burst out with shocking energy at this moment. Xiao Su, the maid who untied her, also joined the hand-to-hand fight, and she hugged the man tightly from behind. Boom, the man exploded the entangled four people with magical powers, and Li Tiansha fell heavily on the side, not knowing whether he was alive or dead. At this time, the rest of the rebels also came. Or kill it, don't dream about spring and autumn, the head of the Z family said lightly. The head of the Wang family persuaded, if you can kill it, it is best to leave it tender. Yuanjie didn't know when it flew behind them, and the death lotus bloomed again. I'll kill you MB. All to the grandfather. The rebels looked back at Yuanjie in disbelief, and then fell from the air. They could not have imagined that Yuanjie, who was at the end of his life, could actually burst out such amazing combat power. Chapter 328. The man looked at Yuanjie, who was killing in the air, in shock, thinking that if he died, he would definitely not be able to leave the baby. My side is already with the Yuan family endlessly, either you die or I die. But now, at least he is safe, at least with hostages in his hands. Don't move, I'll kill him if you move again. Yuanjie was forced to let go of his killing intent, and he knew that the other party would definitely do this. Don't be impulsive first, have something to say. The man laughed maniacally. Talk well? Your Yuan family went to the upper realm without saying a word, abandoning the members of the 12 guardian families who had been working diligently for hundreds of thousands of years to fend for themselves in this apocalyptic era. Have you ever spoken properly? Yuanjie shook his head and said, actually, you are wrong. There are also people from your 12 families who follow the Yuan family to the upper realm, but you don't know it. What? The rebels were all stunned. But thinking about it carefully, the more I think about it, the more sad I feel. Some time ago, a talented clan member quietly left, saying that he was going to the ruins for trials. But in reality, without saying a word, he followed the Yuan family to the upper realm. It turned out that their family was not abandoned, it was just them who were abandoned. Nope. I don't believe it. What you tell is a lie. The man trembled maniacally, and the cold light in his hand was waving indiscriminately. He thought that he was a peerless genius, but he didn't expect that the Yuan family couldn't look at him at all. By what? Why can't I be selected for my super talent, SS level? It must be that your Yuan family hides selfishness and leaves most of the places to your own family. Yuanjie scolded, wake up, if you say so, then why can't my son and daughter-in-law go up the passage to the upper realm? Only the God King realm can be safe and sound. and the following realm can only fall if it is forcibly crossed. The man was shocked. He stumbled a few steps. No wonder he could not be selected. It turned out that his cultivation was insufficient. But why? Why can't the Yuan family wait for him? Why choose to leave now? He hates everyone in the Yuan family. Hate them for not putting themselves in their eyes. Hate why they didn't wait a little longer and wait until they were in the Divine King realm before going together. It can only be said that when people are eliminated, most of them do not think about finding reasons for themselves, but feel that there is a problem with the referee TM, and the world has lost him. He looked at the baby in his arms and felt hatred. By what? Why could he be born in the Taku Yuan family? And he can only be a cow and horse in the family of the 12 guardian spirits? Heaven's Deo is so unfair. He is not convinced. Stop. Yin Yang. Among the rebels, someone saw his movements and quickly told him to stop. The man could no longer control his hand. His heart was filled with anger, and he condensed spiritual power in his hand and stabbed at Xiao Yuanjie. Saying that it was too late and fast, Yuan Xiansheng saw this, and immediately pounced on the other party. The man could not catch it accurately, and the baby fell out. The man wanted to destroy it with a spell, but was snatched by another rebel in the air. He could only vent his anger, stabbing into Yuan Xiansheng's chest one by one, allowing blood to stain his clothes red. Father, let's go. Never mind. Yuan Yan's eyes were red, and he turned his head to chase after him with tears in his eyes. He knew that his son was afraid that he would not survive. Only by fulfilling his last wish and bringing his son back safely can he die blind. The man's face was covered in blood, pushed Yuan Xiansheng away, and stepped on it fiercely. If it weren't for this mortal who had done something bad to him, he would have killed that little baby long ago. He passed by the maid Ziosu's side and made up for it, completely cutting off the other party's life. On the other side, Yuanjie constantly chased the rebels who had held Xiao Yuanjie hostage, but he strayed into the trap. Ha ha ha, Yuanjie, are you dead now? The rebels laughed wildly, and although the process was a bit bumpy, they finally acted according to their own plan. This is the peerless killing array laid down by them. Even if it is a god, it will be trapped until the spiritual power dissolves and dies. The Yuan family has already withdrawn from this realm. They didn't expect that there was actually a Yuan Tian left. Is this misfortune within misfortune, or luck in misfortune? The amazing combat power that Yuanjie had just displayed made them feel terrified. It is worthy of the Taegu Yuan family that has always ruled their family, and every Xianjiao has the ability to stand alone. It's just that even small ants can eat elephants. When Yuanjie entered the Peerless Killing formation, they were no longer afraid. This is the Peerless Killing array that the ancestor of the Yuan family Yuan Shen comprehended from the Heavy Pupil Divine Technique, and it is most suitable to use it in the Yuan family Xianjiao. However, the next second they couldn't laugh. I saw that the Peerless Killing formation actually turned its head and attacked them, and countless order god chains penetrated their bodies. Oh, I forgot to tell you that the Divine Pupil is the ultimate key to activating the Peerless Killing formation. The rebels dug their own graves, and they did not expect that they would have such a day. Do you really think that the ancestor of the Yuan family is a brain wreck? Will you create a trick against your own people? And at this moment, several masters such as the Wei family and the K family led a large wave of masters behind their backs, and came to a wave of sneak attacks. Puff, the god of war, Yuanjie, was wounded for the first time. The other party actually took advantage of the delicate moment when he had just come out of the formation to make a desperate kill. The head of the Wei family grabbed Yuan Xiansheng's torn body, and the other party still had a breath at this time. I guess you don't want anything to happen to your son either, do you? The head of the Wei family laughed traitorously, raised his knife and fell, cutting off Yuan Xiansheng's arm. Yuan Tian's eyes cracked. He heard his son open his mouth weakly. His bloodless lips trembled up and down, and he read the other party's lips. Father, no need, leave me alone. Xiao Yuanjie was handed over to the head of the K family, and his son and grandson became hostages, and Yuanjie didn't know what to do for a while. I said it all, the strong should not leave a burden for themselves, they will only affect the speed at which you draw the knife. If I were you, I would absolutely let it go and go to the upper realm myself. It's just a waste, son. What is worth your desperate efforts to protect? The rebels gloated and laughed loudly. Is it worth it? Yuanjie's gaze softened, and he remembered the joy of his son Yuanjie when he was just born, the satisfaction of his son babbling and becoming a father, and the satisfaction of his tears when his son started a family. Although Yuan was born and is just his most useless son, this is his biological flesh and blood with his favorite wife, Lu Fangshuang, and he promised his wife that he must take good care of him and protect him for the rest of his life. But now, he's going to break his word. Not only can he not protect his son, but even his grandson's life is in danger. What is the point of having this power when you can't protect the person you want to protect? Chapter 329. Yuanjie, who has fought all his life, is tired, really tired. Seeing this, the rebels continued to bewitch, bind your hands, if you fight for your life, maybe we will die, but your son, your grandson will also die. Are you really willing to be a lonely old man? Yes, he is right, even if he kills everyone, he will not be able to save them, he can only hasten their deaths. If you are willing to give up this strength of yours, we can promise you to let your grandson grow up carefree from now on. Originally, capturing Yuanjie was one of their plans, but now it is just pushing the boat along the water. How? I'll count down 10 seconds, and if you don't say yes, then don't blame me for being cruel. The head of the K family turned pale and put the knife on Xiao Yuanjie's neck. Xiao Yuanjie was stimulated by the coldness, and he cried out with a wow, which made Yuanjie's heart break when he heard it. It is true that he has supreme mana and endless years, but what is the use? Therefore, he would envy Yuanjie's ability to have divine power. If he has Shen Wei, he can immediately put his son, daughter-in-law, and maid Xiao Su into Shen Wei space, and he will fight to the end without any worries. Even if they were captured, he could use Kamui to remotely transfer his son and grandson in. However, he didn't have anything. What was left of him except for the ability to replicate infinitely? Family has always been his weakness. You make the heavenly Dao oath first. The rebels immediately raised their right hands and swore with a straight face. In the name of the Z family, Ning family, K family, Yin family, Wang family, Chen family, Wu family, Huangfu family, I swear that after this battle, I will never harm Yuan Xiansheng and his family, and carefully raise his young children. If there is a violation, all the people in the family will perish and will never be allowed to live beyond life. Alice, Yuanjie sighed and silently gouged out his eyes. Crimson blood, dripping from his eye sockets. Now, are you satisfied? Yuanjie said lightly, and then with a strong hand, he pinched his eyeballs. He won't leave it to them, worried that they will use their eyeballs and do something out of the ordinary. The law energy contained in the eyeball was too large, and after being destroyed, it directly blew up a big hole in the heavenly law of this heaven and earth. Originally, the laws of the heavenly Dao had been riddled with holes in many years of human war, and after experiencing this battle that destroyed the heavens and the earth, it was completely broken. Blood stained the entire sky red, dark. You cut yourself, well, remember your vows and be kind to them. Yuanjie slapped his palm to his chest without hesitation, he spat out black blood, and fell precariously towards the ground. At this time, in the vast starry sky, there is a constellation of stars completely colorless. This is a terrible omen of the fall of peerless power. Yuanjie chose to sacrifice for his son and grandson to survive. Maybe some people think he's stupid, why not fight to the death? With his superb ability, he will definitely be able to save them. But is the reality really as beautiful as imagined? Yuanjie did not try it, and then found that this road did not work. Not to mention that as soon as he moves, the other party will decisively kill his son and grandson, and the aftermath of the battle alone can destroy a mortal and a weak baby. Since the other party had made a great oath of heaven, he could only believe it. After the war, the rebels put Yuanjie's dying body back into the room, and the oath of heaven mentioned that they would not harm, but it did not mean that they wanted to save him. Let him fend for himself. Anyway, his life and death have nothing to do with himself. They have achieved the goal they wanted, but when they achieve this ending, the price paid is too painful. Then, each family divided Yuanjie's body and collected immortal essence blood, intending to replicate the excellent bloodline of the Yuan family. Xiao Yuanjie was taken away and raised by the Z family. On the ruins of the Yuan family, Yuanjie's mother Lu Tiansha shook her head. She did not die, but was knocked out. She searched in the ruins for a day and a night, but she did not see her son, whether she was dead or alive. She was sad from the heart, probably knowing that the fate of their family was bad. She wiped the rain from her forehead, and the rain was mixed with tears, and she looked up to the sky and wailed. All these changes, for her as a mortal woman, the blow is too great. The husband bled to death, the maid cut off his life to save them, and the father had only half of the bones left. Lu Tiansha, A weak woman carried her husband's corpse on her back, and pulled a maid's corpse and her father's half-cut bones behind. She climbed mountains and waited along the way, not even daring to walk the country roads. She was afraid that the people of the family would know that she was still alive. When you are hungry, you will pick some wild fruits on the mountain to eat, and when you are thirsty, drink a mountain spring. I don't know how long she walked, but she finally came to her destination. This is where she and her husband first met, and where the dream began. At one time, she was just an ordinary tea picker, until one sunny afternoon, she met him, and the story of the two was written. Xiangong, do you remember? Here, I accidentally bumped into you, lowered my head and said sorry. You just smiled faintly. At that time I saw that you were dressed brightly. You should be the child of a big family. Later, you were forced to stay here because of the rainy night, and in the period after that, I felt for the first time that being loved by a person was the most beautiful thing in the world. Before leaving, he gave my parents a large sum of money, and he was not ashamed to say that he would marry me and take me out of this mountain. You always ask me, do you believe in love at first sight? In fact, I have always believed that if it were not for the illusion of nothing, we would not have come together. Lu Xiannian stroked Yuanjie's decaying corpse, with a happy smile on his face. You once asked me if you regret marrying into the Yuan family. I've never regretted it. No matter how many white eyes I receive outside, when I think that you are my husband, my heart is filled with satisfaction. Where's there a vacant seat to hold grievances? Lu Xiannian said and cried. They are only 20 years old. Obviously there is still a lot of time to be together, but now they have to experience the pain of life and death. She wiped her tears and wiped her entire face. She found a long log, little by little, dug for days and nights, digging 2 deep pits. She took this off and bought 2 coffins in Jianghu town, and slowly put the corpses of Yuan Xiansheng and the maid Ziosu into it. Half of his father's bones were accidentally lost on the way. The spiritual guys in the coffin shop presented a tombstone with their names engraved on it. What countless people did not expect was that when they were ready to bury Yuan Xiansheng's coffin, Lu Xiannian lay in. Miss, this operation frightened the spirit guy. She hugged her husband's corpse tightly, smiled and said something to the people outside, and then threw out the money bag full of gold spirit coins. The spirit guy of the coffin shop counted, good guy, at least 1 million gold spirit coins. It's still a pocketbook. Finally, the spirit guy respected the wishes of the guests, closed the lid of the coffin, and nailed the coffin. In the darkness, Lu Xiannian kissed Yuan Xiansheng's corpse, and her eyes blinked, very agile. Xiangong, you used to take me out of here, but now, I bring you back. We are together forever. I remember what you promised me. We, never to be separated again. Chapter 330. Yuanjie took back his thoughts. Now is not the moment to be sentimental. He didn't know how Yuanjie escaped from the control of the 12 guardian spirit family, probably guessed, maybe it was related to the Yi family. Otherwise, Yi Suking would not have been sealed for 100,000 years with Yuanjie. When he had the opportunity to go to the upper realm, he must thank the ancestor of the Yi family well. As for the other families, it was not they who made the mistake, they were chosen to go to the upper realm, and the most important thing was mental character. Like Yin Yang, even if his cultivation reached the standard, he would not have a chance to be called. Zheng Yun walked beside him and whispered, I discovered this place a long time ago, but it was too dilapidated, and I thought it was the old site that your Yuan family voluntarily abandoned, so I didn't pay attention to it. Yuanjie raised his head, looked at her seriously, and thanked her sincerely. No matter what, thank you. So how are you going to thank me? You said, as long as it is within my ability. I promise you. Zheng Yun blinked his eyes and said with a red face, I want to marry your grandson. What? Yuanjie was stunned. What international joke? Tang Ying dragon bloodline, actually thinking of condescending to marry his grandson? This Nima is also outrageous, right? Don't say that Yuanjie doesn't dare to marry, he doesn't dare to respond. Don't mess with a girl. What do you like about my grandson? I asked him to change it right away. Zheng Yun hesitated, and then said, I want him to look good. Looks are justice, right? Does this little nizzy understand what love is? Superficial, too superficial. Yuanjie felt that it was necessary for him to correct her wrong view of love. The skin is the same, only interesting souls can live forever. You are still young, you will meet many good-looking men in the future. There is no need to stare at my grandson. He believes that Zheng Yun has only seen too few men, and the pattern has not yet opened, So he will have this strange thought. In fact, he guessed right, it was. Zheng Yun has been living in the Donghuang mansion, and it is difficult to have the opportunity to see the men outside. Of course, this was also specially arranged by her father, Donghuang Taiyi. In his opinion, a woman should obey the words of her parents' matchmaker and become a tool for marriage. Therefore, in order to prevent her from secretly falling in love, she was placed under house arrest in disguise. Zheng Yun fell into deep thought after hearing this. Could it really be his own problem? While she was thinking, Yuanjie continued to walk forward. He came to the former teleportation array, stretched out his hand and sensed it. It seems to work, but it needs special materials to repair. For special materials, Yuanjie did not panic at all. His good grandson is the emperor of the Sharingan dynasty. As long as he makes an announcement, what materials are not readily available? It's just that repairing the teleportation formation requires draining the spiritual power of the 9 God King realm powerhouses, which is somewhat difficult. If the earth has changed greatly today, there are only a few strong people who can cultivate to the God King realm. Except for some strong people who have been sleeping from ancient times to the present, even if they are talented, such as Yuanjie. It is impossible to cultivate to the God King realm in such a short period of time. Moreover, what God King realm would choose to sacrifice all of his spiritual power to help your Yuan family repair? Unless they can offer something that appeals to them. 100,000 years ago, the Yuan family God King realm was as many as cattle, and this condition was not a condition at all, but now. It's the end of the law. Forget it, go back first, and come back later. On the other side, due to the sudden opening of the passage of the upper realm, the other space aura of this world became unstable. Many hidden doors that want to stay for a while longer can't hold on. They must be born in the near future, and if they are not born again, there is a high possibility that they will be exiled in the void forever and directly cooled. Master, let's go out. A middle-aged man sitting on a high position, his face was very calm. This day, still came? Back then, in order to avoid the erosion of the laws of Heaven's Dao, their family had to shrink into a different space and lived for 100,000 years. And all this suffering is because of that person. In the end, it seems that they won, but in fact, they lost. They didn't catch anything. They just defeated Yuanjie. Moreover, they never expected that one of their 12 guardian families would actually snatch Yuanjie from the Z family at the critical moment of entering the other space. It means that their layout for tens of thousands of years has since become a joke. Although in the end, the remnants of their 9 families worked together to wipe out the Yi family, they still could not calm the hatred in their hearts. It's been 100,000 years, I don't know how the outside world has developed, Yin Yang sighed. The world of cultivation, 100 years, 100,000 years? What kind of sea change will happen? Master, it's not good. The teleportation formation was destroyed by the people outside. I'm your dog, Yin Yang scolded. Although it can be repaired from the inside, it will take some time. Birth is a race against time, not only to be repaired before the collapse of the alien space, but also means that their silver family will be one step slower than other families, and they will not even be able to eat on at that time. What they didn't know was that in fact, the teleportation arrays of other families had also been destroyed by Wenqiang. The difference was that the problem was discovered sooner or later. On the other side, Yuanjie returned to the sea, and he looked at the teleportation light pillar in the distance, his face solemn. Wait a minute, he seemed to have thought of something. I can copy skills without limits. If this teleportation light pillar is also a skill, then can't I also? Yuanjie burst into a meaningful smile, and then, the runes in his eyes were constantly flickering, and the tricky demon pupil was gaining momentum. Zheng Yun rushed over at this time. She stood behind, silently looking at Yuanjie not far away, but she felt that the other party's state at the moment was not quite right. Yuanjie felt that his pupils were as painful as if they were burning, and blood flowed from his eye sockets. Since he is in the state of rebirth of dirt, he does not bleed, but only oozes mud. He gritted his teeth. This technique can be replicated, it just takes a little time. Ugh, he let out an earth-shattering roar. And it could be seen that he had reached his limit. This teleportation formation from the upper realm was a masterpiece created by a big man several realms higher than him. It's true that he has incredible superpowers, but you have to know that when the strength is not enough, everything is a floating cloud. Densely packed obscure runes continued to deduce in his eyes. Finally, he collapsed in the air with exhaustion. Is it done? As soon as the words fell, a golden pillar of light descended from the sky. Boom! At this time, someone in the upper realm was doing something happy, and suddenly the person disappeared. A certain stunning woman suddenly felt a sense of emptiness. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331. Zheng Yun was stunned. She didn't expect that the ability of Yuanjie devil pupils was so against the sky. Can this be copied? This is a big trick laid down by the immortal Emperor Realm. She comes from the upper realm and naturally knows some secrets. The teleportation array that spanned the two realms could only be created by the immortal Emperor Realm. Her father is naturally also able, but there is no coordinate of this realm. 3,000 worlds of flowers and leaves. Dong Huangtai has searched for countless planes over the years, but he still can't find his daughter's figure. The golden pillar of light dispersed. Faintly, in front of Yuanjie, stood a strong man without a wisp. Yuanjie was stunned. Isn't this his eldest brother? Big brother, second brother, wait a minute, I'll give you clothes first. The two held hands, their eyes were full of tears, and after more than 100,000 years, the brothers finally saw each other. Big brother, I didn't bother you, did I? Yuanjie was stunned. It did disturb him to hand in his homework. However, think about it from another angle. Why not save him from fire and water? Over the years, he has had a hard time. Yuanjie sighed leisurely and said, Alice, second brother, it's hard to say a word. Don't talk so much. Where have you been all these years? Say yes to ascend to heaven after 100 years, and as a result, we have waited for you for 1,000,000 years. The passage of time in the upper realm is different from the nether. The vicissitudes of the nether realm, for the upper realm, are just 3 days of farewell. Yuanjie lowered his head, smiled self-deprecatingly and replied, I'm already dead. Big brother, you naturally can't wait for me. What? Yuanjie was shocked. When he first met his second brother, he was carried away by joy and did not notice the state of the other party. His face turned gloomy. Who the hell was it? So bold, heard his brothers and brothers. Big brother, let's go back and talk slowly. Now there is something important and needs your help. Yuanjie followed Yuanjie's gaze and looked over, and he could see at a glance that not far away, someone from the upper realm was descending. The upper realm is rich in aura, even a pig can eat the heavenly immortal realm, and casually coming down from above a person. For this realm, it is a dimensionality reduction blow and a disaster of annihilation. This operation has already affected the balance between the two realms, but why? The heavenly Deo of this realm has not stopped it? Maybe heavenly Deo also has bitterness, right? After all, she was injured by me 100,000 years ago. Good fellow, if you don't agree with a word, you hurt the heavenly Deo. It's really the demeanor of the Yuan family. Yuanjie smiled lightly and patted Yuanjie's shoulder. Second brother, rest assured, this matter is handed over to the brother. In the upper realm, the Eastern Divine Court and the Western Olympus are at war, and it is also a battle merit to destroy the foreshadowing they left behind in the nether. After you go back, you can ask your ancestors for a reward. Zheng Yun looked at the strong man beside Yuanjie, feeling that his aura was very terrifying, although it was not as good as her father, Dong Huangtai, but the people were young, and in the future, there were infinite possibilities. Yuanjie closed his left eye, and then suddenly opened. And the heavens and the earth in this realm fell into short-term darkness. What's going on? As soon as Yuanjie returned to the Byakugan Imperial Palace, he found that it was dark, and he couldn't see his 5 fingers. He settled Yisuking and Yumengan and walked out the door, only to see a dazzling red light, illuminating the entire heaven and earth. This is annihilation. Yuanjie only used the pupil power of one eye, and at a glance, the teleportation magic array buried by Olympus on the island was directly destroyed, and it turned into nothingness in a moment. In the sky, a big hole was opened. From the big hole, there was a faint scream, mixed with angry voices. Yuan family child. Dare to spoil our layout for thousands of years. You guys, it's not a pity to die. Waiting to meet the wrath of Olympus. Hearing it, he wanted to say something ruthless, but the heavenly Deo of this realm immediately repaired the gap in time and space, isolating his words. Yuanjie felt that his figure seemed to be a little illusory, and he knew it in his heart. Second brother, it seems that we just met and are about to separate. Big brother, Yuanjie grabbed his hand tightly and said reluctantly. The two hurried to catch up. Hey, I said, no wonder since millions of years ago, no one in the nether has been replenished. It turned out to be the ghost of your kid, ha ha ha. Yuanjie touched his head embarrassedly. I can't say that I am a ghost. After all, at that time, it was a last resort. Unexpectedly, the 12 guardian spirits family actually had a rebellious heart. It seems that after going back this time, I must knock them. After Yuanjie heard about the passing of Yuanjie, his mood could not be calm for a long time. By the way, how did you come back to life? What big man has such a heavenly means? Yuanjie proudly straightened his waist and said, my grandson, that is, your grandnephew, Yuanjie, he inherited the excellent bloodline of our Yuan family, and I was reborn from his dirt. It's so good, all these years in the upper realm, you're vain, only Xiaojing is struggling to support, she is too difficult. Xiaojing, whose real name is Yuan Jingsu, is Yuanjie's second daughter. She does not have divine pupils, and is only an SS-level physique. Yuanjie couldn't help but think of that strong girl, since she was a child, since her brother died in battle, her younger brother Yuan was born immortal, she was a weak woman. In order to fight for her father, she resolutely carried the banner of this vein. She has no talent, only a heart that dares to struggle. Xiaojing, she hasn't started a family yet, nope. All these years, she has always been alone. Alice, Yuanjie sighed heavily, and his heart was full of guilt as a father. If he hadn't chosen to stay in the nether back then, but had gone to the upper realm with his family, perhaps she wouldn't have needed to suffer so much. Yuanjie looked at the sky, and the next moment, he would be able to return to the upper realm, but his younger brother could only be trapped here forever. In fact, in the upper realm, our life is not good. Over the years, I have made a life for the family, and many clansmen have died in battle, plus our Yuan family. The connection with the nether has been interrupted, and it is impossible to replenish fresh blood, so the ancestors gave an order to die, asking us to redouble our efforts and spread the leaves. My brother is bitter in his heart. Yuanjie didn't feel his suffering, but saw the other party's wistful smile. At this time, a time and space passage suddenly appeared beside the two, and Yuanjie subconsciously reddened his eyes, destroying the world and preparing for action. Don't get excited, brother, this is my grandson. Yuanjie stepped out from the passage of time and space, and saw his grandfather standing with a tall and handsome man, his expression slightly startled. Yuanjie saw his grandnephew for the first time and noticed Yuanjie's heterochromatic eyes at a glance. He flew over and wanted to give the other party a hug, but was shut by Shinra Xianzhen. Xiaojie, he is the eldest brother I mentioned to you, that big brother with a pupil of the world-destroying god, that is, your eldest uncle. Good fellow, did you come down from the upper realm? Yuanjie is still the first time to meet the relatives of the Yuan family, other than grandfather and Xiaonan. Ha ha ha, he is worthy of being an excellent disciple of my Yuan family. Good. 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 After arriving in the upper realm, the eldest uncle will introduce you to a few more Protoss princesses, and the pressure generated will give you. Before he finished speaking, Yuanjie disappeared into this heaven and earth, as if it never appeared. Chapter 332. Yuanjie stared blankly at the destroyed island not far away, and there was still a fierce aura on the island that could not be underestimated. When he looked closer, he saw dust floating in the air, no longer the traces of the past. Yuanjie explained, just now, it was your eldest uncle who used the world-destroying tribulation light to destroy the teleportation array connecting the west to the upper realm. So strong? This is a teleportation formation from the upper realm, and it must be extremely strong. Even if he is as strong as his grandfather, he is helpless. Fortunately, the eldest uncle went to mortal, otherwise he would have a headache. It's just that I never expected that the Western Protoss was so vulnerable. Was it really worthy of being an opponent? In this world, Yuanjie has never seen a Western Protoss except for Thor and Loki. It must have abandoned this realm long ago and ran to the upper realm to be a blessing, right? As for the Mjolnir in Thor's hand, it is estimated that it was accidentally left from the hands of the gods of the upper realm. Yuanjie felt a mournful gaze behind him, he shrunk his neck and quickly said goodbye. For Jingyun, he did not dare to think about right and wrong. First of all, the identity gap between the two is too great. The person is the Nine Heavenly Daughter, what is herself? It's not that Yuanjie is arrogant, Dong Huangtai definitely can't look down on himself. At that time, The forces on the side of the Eastern Emperor Taiji will start a war with the Yuan family because of this matter. He didn't know the situation in the upper realm, and he didn't want to cause unnecessary trouble to the Yuan family. In the end, the two have no emotional foundation, only met a few times. Compared with Wenqiang, how much can they love? Although Yuanjie had to admit that the other party was indeed good-looking, this world must be one if it was not good-looking. He is not the kind of animal that thinks in the lower body, he has his own sanity. Zheng Yun saw that the other party ignored him, ran directly without saying hello, and stomped his foot angrily. The speed of Reiki recovery was slowed down, causing everyone's cultivation speed to slow down a bit. At present, this world can exert the strength of the God King realm at most, and if it is higher, it will be sanctioned by the laws of heaven. Light will fall to the realm, heavy will reduce lifespan. Yuanjie thinks, does Xian Dao take special care of himself? It seems that the strength limit of the heavenly Dao law is always one level higher than himself, and it is not too outrageous. It's a bit outrageous. A year later, after many days of hard work, the Yin family sacrificed more than a dozen flying immortal realm bigwigs, and finally managed to break through the ground and see the light of day again. It seems that this world must be the world of my Yin family. Ho ha ho ha. 100,000 years ago, the 9 major families besieged the Yuan family, and the Yin family sent less than 1/10 of the masters, and they were all paddling. Zheng Zihi's family was almost completely destroyed, and its strength was not as strong as before. It turns out that only by being an old sixth can you be long-lasting. Yin Yang stretched out his arms and closed to feel the flow of spiritual energy in this piece of heaven and earth. It seems to be a little richer than before. He felt that he was about to break through, reach that legendary realm, and become a true immortal. The place where the Yin family was born is near Jingcheng. When they saw this megacity, they thought to themselves that the first stop to conquer the world was here. Jingcheng, after 6 years of development, although it was abandoned as the national capital, it was a blessing in disguise, mixed with the most prosperous commercial city of the Sharingan dynasty. Over the years, the Sharingan dynasty has been vigorously supporting the commercialization of Jingcheng, and after the fall of the Xiangxi dynasty, many people who fled Jingcheng by selling their property turned blue. Jingcheng's land and housing prices rose and once exceeded more than 100 times when it was in the national capital. It can be said that there is not a single poor person in Jingcheng, even if it is an ordinary family. After selling their family property, they can become rich in another city. The Yin family walked on the streets of Jingcheng as if they were the next day. They had never seen such a modern city, full of high-rise buildings, and the high-tech products everywhere made them very unfamiliar. Yin Yang nodded and said to himself, it seems that this generation is not good at cultivation. Then our ancient superfamily fell from the sky, not a dimensionality reduction strike. Some people in the Yin family are hungry, and they want to buy some food to eat, but they find that the coins are no longer needed. When the Yuan dynasty unified the world, it implemented the policy of currency homogeneity, and the whole world used paper money issued by Yuan money zhuang. Even if you have gold, you don't have any purchasing power, and you have to go to the Yuan money houses in various places to exchange it. This policy can largely detect the birth of the hidden door. What to buy? Just take it directly. Our Yin family eats their things, is to look up to them. Yin Yang slapped over and reprimanded the clansman. The old aide of the small shop looked stunned, and immediately had a count, and he said with a smile, it seems that the little dog of the hidden door has appeared. Madam, you quickly go to the official. The Sharingan dynasty once gave instructions to the national government that when encountering powerful enemies, they should not be provoked and handed over to the national government to deal with. Although the Yin family could not understand the language of this era, they saw each other's expressions, and a sense of pride was born. It seems that no matter how many years the Yin family has been buried, the people of this world will still be in awe of them. Soon, the security department of Jingcheng Mansion came over, and they first used high-tech instruments to analyze each other's strength in the dark. Flying Wonderland, the chief of the security department couldn't help frowning, and he waved his hand at the adjutant general and said, go and pray to the Yuan emperor, another hidden gate has been born. A master of this level is not something they can handle. In the highest ethereal pavilion of the Byakugan Imperial Palace, Yuanjie slowly opened his eyes and let out more breath of turbid breath. Finally broke through to the God King realm, however, his face was neither sad nor joyful. Because he has saved several optional reincarnation skill treasure chests, but the system has not added goods to it. All the previous reincarnation eye techniques, he has long been replaced. In the past, I might have expected to have a more powerful new pupil technique after upgrading, but now, it is just to upgrade the cultivation level, and there is no sense of surprise at all. According to the custom, Yuanjie bought a God King Realm level gift package. What made him strange was that there were many small red dots in the system interface at this time. Yuanjie entered curiously, but found something that shocked him. What? Susanoo can actually strengthen these big moves? Yuanjie was stunned. He never expected this. For a long time, he thought that Susanoo's skill was a passive skill, which came with the Sharingan, but now it can actually be strengthened? Not only that, but all other skills have broken through the 10-level upper limit. At the same time, Yuanjie suddenly noticed that the optional reincarnation eye skill treasure box showed that it could be used. This means that the system is stuffed with new skills. He couldn't wait to open it and see it, and sure enough, 3 more reincarnation eye techniques. Su Mingzhen, Jian Ayu Thunder God, Xian Ceremony. Chapter 333. Susanoo Naruto, passive skill, optional to turn on/off, strengthens Susanoo's attack speed, and defense, releases a skill in Susanoo's form, which increases damage by 150%. In addition, Susanoo has psychic intelligence. The host can detach and confide on its own. Spiritual power consumption increase. 0.01% spiritual power minute, Yuanjie called terrible. Enhancement aside, just being able to increase the damage of other skills by 150% is enough to be perverted. Moreover, Susanoo has always needed his control, and now he actually has spiritual intelligence? In other words, he can break away from Susanoo and go out to amplify his moves? Or in other words, in the future, you only need to summon Susanoo, run to watch the play yourself, and let it fight by itself. That's too strong, isn't it? Brother J was surprised. However, the spiritual power consumed by this skill is a bit excessive. In the past, Susanoo would not consume much spiritual power if he had been open for a month, while Susan Mingzhen consumed spiritual power in percentage. Now the spiritual power value in his body is as high as 10 million spiritual power, and Susanoo only consumes a little spiritual power every second. But Su Mingzhen, every minute, needs to consume 100 spiritual power, directly increased by 100 times. He then looked at the second new skill, Kengo Thor LV1, used in non-Susanoo form. It can deal sustained attack damage, with a total of x 30,000% of its own attack power. Susanoo is used in form, with the power of thunder to deal a fatal blow to enemies. Skill data, own attack power x 50,000%. Spiritual power consumption. 20%, I blanch. I blanch. I blanch. Is the data panel of this skill so outrageous? One level can play the same output as Xianzi Changli. You know, Xianzi Changli is a skill that consumes 90% of spiritual power, and it is only 20% spiritual power to build the Thunder God. Suddenly, I felt that the sky was no longer fragrant. Tenno Rimini has both vitality and ruined power. You can choose to strengthen or weaken skills. Spiritual power consumption. 10%. Skill cooldown. 1 minute. This skill is a little interesting. If you suddenly strengthen your big move, you can hit the opponent by surprise. I just don't know if I can strengthen the skills of my teammates. If it is a skill issued by the other party, you can choose to weaken, which is indeed a little too powerful. Yuanjie thought that he was in the system backpack, and there were nearly 10 self-selected reincarnation eye skill treasure chests, and he chose them all without hesitation, and I wanted them all. He felt an itch in his eyes, but he didn't panic, which was normal. After a quarter of an hour, the itching finally stopped. Now he is full of fighting spirit and can't wait to find someone to practice. He looked at Yasuking, who is meditating beside him. She had already upgraded to the God King realm a month ago. The upgrade speed is staggering, even more outrageous than his one hanging wall. At this time, Yuanjie's mobile phone vibrated and someone called him. Emperor Yuan, French city found that the Hidden Gate was born. Yuanjie frowned. He originally thought that the Hidden Gate should have been born a long time ago. How could it suddenly appear now? Do you know which family it belongs to? Z family. The corner of Yuanjie's mouth flashed a sneer. The Z family, right? He remembered that 100,000 years ago, it was the Z family that instigated the other 12 guardian families to rebel. He turned into a cyan flash and disappeared in an instant. In French city, The Z family is confronting the people of the security department of Fringe City. Originally, the Z family thought that without the Taekuyuan family, they were also a second-ranked famous family before, but now that they are born, isn't they invincible in the world? However, what they never expected was that as soon as they climbed out of the ground, they encountered tens of thousands of soldiers. Over the years, due to the revival of aura, the strength of the army of the Sharingan dynasty has increased day by day. Don't look at a group of scumbags who only have the celestial phenomenon realm. After putting up a formation together, they can actually fight back and forth with the Z family. Damn, if it weren't for the battle back then, our Z family suffered heavy losses, losing 30 flying immortal realm powerhouses, and now we would actually be surrounded by a group of worldly mortals. There are really many clansmen in the Z family hiding in different spaces, but most of them are not high in cultivation. Because the cultivation is high, it will die a long time ago. The Z family is no longer the Z family of the past, the world is impermanent, and now they have the highest combat power in the whole clan, but the God King realm. In a different space, spiritual power is thin, and it is easy to engage people with mentality for a long time. After so many years, they have only upgraded one God King realm, and most of the other clans have returned to the mortal realm, and there are not many of them in the true realm. This kind of combat power, to be honest, is not even as good as the current Yu family. The Yu family and the Huangfu family received the great help of Emperor Yuan, and long ago, they communicated with the 10 hidden families who were born, sharing exercises and learning cultivation techniques. Over the years, it has developed rapidly. Due to many strong people, they were stuck in the Great Late Realm for thousands of years, and the foundation was even more solid than the hidden door. In the superior environment of the revival of aura, the level of cultivation rose rapidly, and it had the glory of the 12 guardian god families back then. It's just that the top masters are not as many as the 12 guardian families. However, as time passed, Yuanjie believed that when the time came, he would definitely reforge the glory of the 12 guardian families, and even surpass them. Family Master, their dark iron pipe is not as powerful as underestimated, the Z family said with a gray face. Kozijian has cultivated a large number of talents, constantly transforming and upgrading high-tech weapons, and now it is not a problem to return to the mortal realm with a single shot, and even the realm of transformation can touch it. The city lord of Liusu City wrote lightly on the paper, Emperor Yuan has an order that whenever the hidden gate comes, he must go to the household bureau to register information. The head of the Z family said with a gloomy face, then what if we say no? Their Z family, what was their identity 100,000 years ago? You are just a secular imperial dynasty, and you deserve to ask us to register. And at this moment, a golden giant stood in midair, and a group of purple family members looked up curiously. If you refuse, we can't blame us for what will happen later. The city lord of Liusu City saw that Emperor Yuan was coming, and he put a cruel word without a trace, wanting to show himself. The head of the Z family smiled angrily, so, your Sharingan dynasty is threatening me. As soon as the words fell, he was slapped solidly, and he was slapped for 1,000 meters before stopping. Genji's indifferent voice sounded from above Susanoo's head. If you don't do it honestly, blame me for not showing mercy. The head of the Z family frowned. They were actually threatened by a secular dynasty? His right hand made a seal, condensing a heavenly punishment thunder. The sky and earth changed, the clouds were dense, and there was a faint flash of thunder. The city lord of Fringe City did not panic at all. He knew that the Yuan Emperor was nearby, and they would be fine. Build the Imperial Thunder God. The golden color actually absorbed all the thunder in heaven and earth, including the Z family master. A golden giant with the power of thunder controlled the thunder and lightning with his right hand, flashed quickly, and cut through the sky, bringing a roar of thunder. If you don't obey, then die. Chapter 334. The Z family's expressions tightened, and they felt an incomparably pure thunder power. Before they could react, most of the clansmen were killed and wounded. This is a 10-level giant IU Thunder God, and the skill data has reached a terrifying 10W%. I think back then, Yuanjie made a move of 5W% of Xianzi Changli and directly killed the Count of the Blood Clan Kigala in seconds. What about the Z family? And what ability can resist this trick? Yuanjie, who was promoted to the God King realm, was different from the others, and the spiritual power pool in his body was completely transformed into a small world. In the small world, birds and flowers are singing, And all kinds of plants use photosynthesis to transform the spiritual power absorbed from the outside world into divine power to feed back to Yuanjie. Who are you, the head of the Z family? Shisuking turned pale with fright, never expecting that someone in this era of the last law would actually crush the powerful Z family with one blow. When he carefully saw who was coming, his heart was shocked. You are Yuanjie, but then he quickly denied his idea. It can't be Yuanjie. He participated in that battle when he was young, but his strength was low and he could only participate in the battle on the periphery. But he witnessed with his own eyes that Yuanjie died without a complete corpse, and his flesh and blood were divided by all the families, and even Xiao Kun was not spared, and even became a sought-after item. So if not Yuanjie, who would it be? The Yuan family Xianjiao is all in the sky. He suddenly remembered a person. Could it be? The Yuan family stopped and flew out of Susanoo's body. He was like a white-haired god of war, volleying through the air, causing many people of the Xianyun dynasty to scream. Emperor Yuan. Bonsai. Yuan Emperor. Mighty. Yuan Emperor. Invincibility. That Yuan Emperor, who has not tasted a defeat since awakening his physique, he is here. Shisuking was enveloped by this powerful aura, almost couldn't breathe. The same God King realm, and he is the God King realm ninefold. Why is the gap between the two so big? Long time no see, long time no see. Shisuking was stunned. He didn't understand what the other party meant. After Yuanjie was promoted to the God King realm, his memories from childhood woke up by chance, and he had been adopted in the Z family 100,000 years ago. Although the Z family did not abuse him, they also did not give him a good look. Everyone thought he was an outlier, and no one wanted to be friends with him. Because after the accident in Yuanjie at that time, Zi Zishuang left home angrily and disappeared. If she stayed, it was likely that she would remember the old feelings and take care of Xiao Yuanjie, right? Before Xiao Yuanjie was 10 years old, he had to be drawn blood every day, and the food he ate was also bad, and he was like a small animal kept in the Z family, without any dignity and freedom to speak of. Yuanjie smiled. The corners of his mouth inadvertently evoked an evil angle. Shisuking didn't know when the other party burst into front of him, he only felt his throat tighten. Uncle Qing, you drew my blood so many times back then, have you forgotten? Boom, a thunderbolt fell on Shisuking's head, and he froze. What shocked him was not why the little boy did not die back then, but shocked that he would actually become so powerful in 100,000 years. Obviously, at that time, the Z family tested his physique every day, and there was no sign of awakening in his body before the age of 10? Like his father, he was like a wasted man. Is there really a late bloomer in this world? Nope. No way. Shisuking shook her head in disbelief. 100,000 years ago, everyone could awaken their physique at the age of 8, which is different from the current 18-year-old. If the age of 8 does not awaken the constitution, it means that this person will be like that for the rest of his life. He couldn't accept it. Why did Yuanjie, who was obviously a waste back then, become so powerful now? He also successfully inherited the excellent lineage of the Yuan family. Those blue and white eyes can't deceive people. Shisuking's heart suddenly tightened, and the blood of the Yuan family awakened, which was not a good thing for the 12 guardian god families hidden in the other space. No matter what ability Yuanjie's eyes are, which pair of eyes of the Yuan family are waste firewood? You let me go first. He blushed and begged with difficulty. Yuanjie is not a simple lock-throat, he also added the control ability of Vientian Xianyan, making it impossible to struggle. Today, just when the system broke through the upper limit of skill level, he first reached the level of the two basic skills of Vientian Heavenly Introduction and Shinluo Xianzhen. The full level is level 20, and the skill data of Shinra Xianzheng has been increased from 1W to 5W, while Vientian Xianzheng has increased the control in time. If nothing else, even the powerhouse of Flying Wonderland will be hard-controlled for 10 seconds. 10 seconds, you can do a lot of things. Unfortunately, the disadvantage is that the closer the release distance, the stronger the control effect. Yuanjie felt that in the Shenwei space, there was a will calling him. Zizai Shuang, I almost forgot that my little brother was from the Z family, so it seemed that he should be cautious about treating the Z family. Yuanjie smashed Shisuking on the ground, and he was shocked. Strong. Too strong. The 300 members of the Z family who survived were shocked. The head of the Z family represents the strongest combat power of the family, but the strongest person is beaten by the other party's throat, and there is no way to fight back. Isn't this the age of the last law? How could such freaks be born? But when the Z family saw Yuanjie's blue and white dyes, it turned out to be Yuanjie Xianjiao, which could be explained. Who doesn't know that the Yuan family Xianjiao is based on the existence of one enemy and 100? Killing enemies beyond the level is simply commonplace. Shisuking looked back at the corpses of the clansmen on the ground, and couldn't help but tremble his body. The Z family was sealed in the alien space for 100,000 years. Remember that it was sealed, not cultivated. Ordinary cultivators, even if you are a powerhouse in the flying immortal realm, it is impossible to have a lifespan of 100,000 years. Generally, the clansmen will enter a state of suspended animation, and after a long period of time, they will gradually wake up. However, the Z family woke up 20,000 years ago, and in these 20,000 years, do you know how they lived? Opening and closing your eyes is a void, except for cultivation, that is, reproduction. There is no third kind of entertainment at all. Every family that has entered a different space has a deep understanding that if there is another troubled world, they would rather die than enter it again to suffer alive. Shisuking looked at the lifeless clansmen on the ground, unable to cry. They, who had not yet seen the sunrise in the new world, left like this. He is also a human being, he has also experienced that long ordeal, and he has saved his life more than anyone. So, he gritted his teeth and made a choice that surprised the clansmen. Shisuking knelt on the ground, constantly moving with his knees, crawled to Yuanjie, and hugged his thighs. Please, let us go, the Z family, willing to submit to the Yuan family again, become the guardian family of the Yuan family, and never defect in life. The Z family was shocked. They didn't expect such a result. There are still more than 200 true realms on their side, and only one God King realm on the opposite side can see it, and the winning rate is inclined to them. Are you sure you don't want to give it a try? Yuanjie sneered. He was not surprised by Shisuking's choice. How? Accept you again, and wait until 100,000 years later to continue to attack our Yuan family? Chapter 335. The choice of Perilla is not unusual. Most of the homeowners who have entered the alien space and suffered will do this. If you haven't experienced them, it's hard to understand them. When the Z family saw the head of the family kneeling down and begging the man in the imperial robe so begging, they couldn't help but cry. Not everyone can do such a humble thing, let alone the head of the Z family, who was once the second most prestigious family. They couldn't help but feel sad. What was the scenery of their family 100,000 years ago? How strong was the Z family back then? Even the Yuan family at that time would not underestimate them, and even have some fears. In its heyday, it was the powerhouse of flying wonderland who occupied 60% of this continent. But nowadays, things are not people. 100,000 years have passed, and even a small secular dynasty can press on them. They feel very sad and have been living a human life. Who can accept it? In that battle, in fact, it was not to encourage the whole family, but their high-level planning organization and family powerhouses to participate voluntarily. After all, after such a long period of development, the various families of the 12 guardian spirits are inextricably linked with the Yuan family, and they have more or less been married. Therefore, the other clansmen who did not participate in the rebellion did not know that the Z family 100,000 years ago was no longer the Z family of the past. Master. Men have gold under their knees, and they kneel to heaven and do not kneel. How can you? A middle-aged man turned pale and stepped forward. Suddenly plopped down on his knees. How can you not call me? Everyone present was shocked. How could there be such a person? Yuanjie. In that case, Yuanjie struck while the iron was hot and asked them to sign a master-servant contract. Shisuking wanted to bargain. No, my lord, the ancestor of the Yuan family and the ancestor of our Z family signed a protection contract back then. Yuanjie sneered. Are you stupid for me? Guardianship contract? Give you another chance to backstab. The biggest difference between the master-servant contract and the guardianship contract is that the punishment for separating the family is active and passive. If the former Yuanshan and the 12 families had signed a master-servant contract, Yuanshan would have been able to destroy the rebels in a single thought 100,000 years ago. Yuanjie does not believe in the so-called guardianship contract at all, even if the contemporary era will not backstab. But what about many years later? People's hearts will always change. The 12 guardian god families can persist for hundreds of thousands of years without rebellion, and the Yuan family is already very powerful. Seeing Yuanjie's resolute attitude, Shisuking gritted his teeth and signed the master servant's contract with his heart in the persuasion of a group of clansmen. If it is not signed, from today onwards, the Z family will cease to exist. If you sign it, you may have a glimmer of life. He never forgot the teachings of his ancestors. No matter what, the bloodline of the Z family could not be broken. Their vein is pro-Yuan, because the judgment is dead. In fact, the most important reason is that he deeply understands the horror of Yuanjie, not to mention hundreds of true realms, even if hundreds of God King realms come. Maybe they are not that person's opponents. The more they resist, the faster they will die. When the master servant's contract was signed, Yuanjie released Zixishuang. Brother, Shisuking suddenly heard a call, and he suddenly raised his head, only to see a woman in white standing in front of him. Sister, Shisuking rushed over and hugged Zixishuang, bursting into tears. Unexpectedly, the sister, who disappeared 100,000 years ago, reunited 100,000 years later. Wait a minute, where did she come from? He felt that Zixishuang's cultivation had not changed from before she disappeared, neither increasing nor decreasing, and most importantly, her age remained at 20 years old. This, Shisuking was stunned. Zixishuang explained, back then, I was trapped in Yuankaion's mirror, and it was Yuanjie who brought me out of the mirror space. When did you come out? Someone frowned and suddenly felt that things were not simple. Well, it was about 5 or 6 years ago, I don't remember exactly, damn it. Shizo scolded secretly. He originally thought that he signed this master servant's contract in order to continue the bloodline of the Z family, but he never expected that his sister would be born 5 or 6 years ago. I already knew this, and sign or fart? Go straight up and fight hard. How much can be exchanged? Anyway, there is a sister to guarantee the bottom. He glared fiercely at Yuanjie, this treacherous villain. Is it fun to cheat on their feelings? Yuanjie's eyes narrowed, and suddenly Shisuking felt that his mind was about to split, and he rolled on the ground in pain. Brother, what's wrong with you? Zixishuang squatted down anxiously. At this time, the pain of splitting the mind was finally over, and Shisuking breathed a sigh of relief. A faint voice came into his ears. The one who signed the master servant's contract with your Z family is only me, not the rest of the Yuan family. Shisuing's expression was stunned. Is this? That's fine. But the problem came. If the master died, then their entire Z family would not be spared. Although it is said that the God King realm can have an ultra-long lifespan of 50,000 years, there are many dangers on the way to cultivation, and it will fall if you are not careful. He could only pray that Yuanjie must be well and that there would be no accidents. At this time, Yuanjie's mobile phone rang, and he picked it up to answer it. Emperor Yuan, it's not good. A very powerful hidden door has appeared in Jingcheng. According to the information sent by the personnel at the scene, it indicates that there are more than 50 flying fairy realm powerhouses on the opposite side. 50 PCS? Is it so scary? Yuanjie did not have the confidence to use the cultivation of the God King realm to make a dozen 50 flying fairy realms. However, he acted calmly and kept silent. Also, an ancient Ning family has appeared in Falling Dragon City. Yuanjie was stunned. Ning family? Wasn't the Ning family destroyed? How is there still one? Put this nesting doll on hold, huh? Are there any other hidden doors? No, that's all for the time being. A reply came from the other end of the phone. Yuanjie hung up the phone. He contacted his grandfather and asked him to go to Jingcheng, while he himself went to Falling Dragon City to deal with the Shangguning family. He asked the city lord of Fringe City to settle the Z family and call Shisuking to follow. Emperor Yuan, may I ask if this is? Shisuking was scared when he saw the black hole. He remembered that unbearable memory, and now he was very sensitive to spatial fluctuations, and he subconsciously shrunk his feet, refusing to step forward. Brother, don't be afraid. This is Yuanjie's magical power, the passage of time and space, which can cross tens of millions of miles in one breath. Zixishuang grabbed him. Shisuking was so scared that his legs trembled, and Yuanjie was speechless, and directly used the Vientiane heavenly guide to control him and throw him in. Ugh, he screamed and lay on the ground, not daring to open his eyes for a long time. Brother, it's already here. Only after hearing his sister's voice did he slow down. The black hole was in front of him, but the situation around him became different. Good, amazing. The tassel city on the other side of the black hole is winter, and the spring is warm here, and you can guess with a little geographical knowledge, and the two places are very far apart. Yuanjie had already turned on Susanoo and flew towards the team of the Sharingan family with great momentum. This time it was outside the city, so he could do it without hesitation. Heaven stands forever. I saw that the heavens and the earth suddenly darkened, and the clansmen of the Sharingan family looked up and were almost not scared to death. A giant spirit god bigger than the planet slowly stood up, and he stretched out a finger. They felt very small, and under the pressure of the fingers of the giant spirit god, they lost the ability to think. Chapter 336. Little daring, several top experts of the ancient Ning family flew up. Since most of the Ning family's clan was of the physical imperial line, they rushed forward and pointed their fists at each other. Boom! The aftermath of the explosion spread within a radius of 10 miles, and even the periphery of Falling Dragon City was greatly affected. The strong man of the ancient Ning family used all his strength to be able to block it, and then he was shot to the ground. Before Yuanjie used this trick Heaven Standing Forever, he pointed his level to level 20. The skill data at full level is extremely terrifying, and it actually reaches 20W of its own attack power percentage, which is 4 times more damage than before. This wave is a big reinforcement. Yuanjie did not stand on the sidelines to watch the play, but turned on Susanoo to fly into the crowd and kill indiscriminately. He didn't have a good impression of the Ning family, because Ning Yaowei, the head of the Ning family in this world. Ning Yaowei's brutality made him feel disgusted. As for whether the ancient Ning family had anything to do with that Ning family, or how much it had to do with it, it was not what Yuanjie wanted to pay attention to. His idea was, hit first, then talk. In the face of the 12 Guardian Spirit family, it is necessary to show terrifying strength from the beginning to deter this group of people. If he had the opportunity, he would not want to accept the family that participated in that war. It is because of them that they have experienced life and death as soon as they are born, and their birthdays have become the death date of their parents. Had it not been for that battle, his childhood would not have been so bitter. Susanoo turned on the passive state of Sujin Mingzhen, and his body's surface was no longer pure gold, but according to Yuanjie's ideas, he dyed the armor on his body with other colors. It no longer looks transparent, more like an armor Gundam. With a wave of his right hand, Susanoo drew out the Sharingan cloud sword from the void and jumped directly into the crowd of the Sharingan family. He jumped up and stuck his sword in his hands on the ground. Bang! In the crowd of the Sharingan family, a large pit thousands of meters deep appeared. When Ning Xian, the head of the ancient Ning family, saw this scene, her eyes turned red. She didn't know where she had provoked such a strong person to kill the Ning family. Who the hell are you? What is the grudge with the Ning family? There was only a sword in response to her. Susanoo can be boosted up to level 20, with up to 10,000% damage per attack. Moreover, the defense power is extremely amazing, at least it can block the strongest blow of the 8th order of the Flying Immortal Realm. Ning Xian crossed his hands in front of his chest and was repelled by Susanoo's sword. Her pupils dilated. She didn't expect that this unknown enemy was so strong. She was a 5th order cultivator of the Flying Immortal Realm, and she fought back and forth with him. However, Yuanjie is strong and big with Susanoo, and constantly bullies the weak Ning Xian. The most terrifying thing is that even if you open the world of law, you are still not as big as the giants of others. Ding! Again with a fist of the flesh, he confronted Susanoo's Tenkwang Cloud Sword. This time, Susanoo took a step back. Although it did not cause fatal damage, it has to be said that the Flying Fairyland is still strong. And the divine power is much ahead of him. Today's Yuanjie is ahead of the other party by talent. The small world in his body, the divine power contained in it, the current first order of the God King realm can be compared with the SS-level physique of the 5th order of the Flying Immortal Realm. What's more, Ning Xian only had an S-grade physique. However, the unique ability of Flying Wonderland became more and more courageous, causing Yuanjie a lot of trouble. The more courageous the battle, as the name implies, the cultivator's all-round ability will become more and more courageous with the extension of the battle time. I saw Ning Xian full of red light, full of fighting intent, obviously entering a state of increasing courage. After colliding with the other party again and again, Susanoo retreated farther and farther away. He's a 30 Flying Wonderland. It's hateful, it's still not as good as Grandpa. He didn't have to fight 200 of them back then. After Yuanjie poured a few bottles of recovery potion, he gritted his teeth. Shisu Kingren looked stupid. He was extremely glad that he returned quickly. With the strength of the Z family, how could he fight Yuanjie? Yuanjie and Xianjiao, are they also perverted? And at this moment, The clansmen of the Sharingan family found the two of Shisuking and Zizishuang, and they cursed angrily, "Z family, why are you here? Why do it to us?" Shisuking hurriedly waved his hand and said, "It's none of my business, it's not our Z family's people who beat you." After hearing this, Ningxian sank his face. The Z family had been abolished after that battle, and its strength had dropped from the 2nd to the 12th, and it was impossible to be a clan member who had entered the other space. Everyone came out of there, and they know the bad environment inside, not to mention the upgrade. It is a blessing that the cultivation is not lost. What's more, there are 11 families. The list of people who entered the different space has long been inquired into what the other party's fire is. Since it is not the Z family, who will it be? After Yuanjie drank the recovery potion, his divine power returned to its peak state. Earthburst Sky Star, a dark gravitational ball appeared out of thin air between heaven and earth, absorbing all the earth and mountains in this area. The clansmen with a lower strength of the ancient Ning family simply could not get rid of such a powerful absorption force, and they flew towards the air one after another. "Master! Save me!" The flying wonderland of the upper gunning family watched in amazement as countless clansmen rose uncontrollably, and they quickly flew over to rescue. However, while they are resisting the powerful attraction, they can't save many clansmen. Boom! The audience was silent, and a huge stone ball with a diameter of 100,000 li burst into the air, hanging in midair. The powerhouses of the Sharingan family looked at each other dumbfounded, unable to speak. Shisuking and Zizishuang, who were watching the battle from the sidelines, were also stunned. Is this power really something that the God King realm can do? Moreover, it was still without opening the realm of God. The Earth explosion celestial star could not be strengthened before, and just now Yuanjie filled this move, and increasing it from 30,000 to 120,000 was a huge bonus of 4 times. Although it is not as good as the 200,000% special move of Xianzi Changli's one-hit strike. The Earth Explosion Sky Star is a one-move sealing technique, which comes with strong control, and will have better results in actual combat. The main thing is that the heavenly constant standing front shake is too big, not referring to the chanting time, but from the time the giant spirit god gets up to the time a finger presses down, it takes a minute. Genji flew out of Susanoo, and the 6 coats on his body were windless. "It's you. How can it be?" The powerhouse of the upper gunning family recognized Yuanjie's identity at a glance. "There is no way, the Taku Yuan family is too terrifying and famous. I never expected that there would be remnants of the Yuan family left in the world." Ningzi was annoyed. Ever since Xiao Yuanjie was snatched away by the traitors of the Yi family, they should have guessed that this would be the result. Yuanjin's flesh and blood and Xiao Yuanjie's essence blood did not bring them much benefit. They didn't know about other families. At least the Ning family was an SSS-level physique that had not been created. Yuanjie slowly raised his right hand, the corners of his mouth slightly curved, and suddenly his right hand clenched into a fist. The huge stone ball in the sky was hit by a divine punishment thunder, and a red stone rain fell. "What you did to my grandfather 100,000 years ago, now I will give it back doubly." Chapter 337. Grandfather? The powerhouses of the ancient Ning family were even more certain of Yuanjie's identity. That's right, it must be the little baby who was taken away by the Z family back then. They they killed if they knew it, and they didn't hear the saying that they had to remove the roots by cutting grass. However, they were arrogant, thinking that the Yuan family had no room to turn over, and they were dreaming of recreating the physique of the immortals. The question is bloodline really that easy to replicate? An earth-shattering battle took place outside Falling Dragon City, attracting a large group of family masters to come and watch and eat melons. Can you understand their realm? I can't read it. I feel very strong. Emperor Yuan is still as mighty as ever. One fights dozens of them, and he does not fall behind in the slightest. This is a bad statement. Is it clear that one person is good for the entire family? Since it is a mortal feud, then there is nothing to say. The powerhouses of the ancient Ning family exchanged a wave of glances with each other, and they all opened their own divine realms. Since most of their family's bloodline inheritance is the physical lineage, the effect of the divine realm is basically to speed up themselves and slow down each other. Dozens of divine realms pressed on Yuanjie at the same time, making him unable to move. However, I don't know why, they were able to suppress Genji, but the negative effect on Susanoo was almost zero. This is the power of the pupil technique, which does not require sealing, nor chanting, and can cast spells with just a glance. Everyone in the ancient Ning family clasped their hands and emitted a dazzling blue light. Heavenly God Battle King Fist. 174 strong people issued this move at the same time, and I saw huge kunai flying in the sky, and finally merged into one and rushed towards Yuanjie. There is a fish in the north, and its name is kunai. The size of the kunai is not known for thousands of miles. In front of this combined carpenter, Susanoo seemed to be like an ant, which seemed insignificant. This move is also the famous technique of the Sharingan family, who once slashed 10,000 families with the power of Kunzhi. Good to go, Yuanjie thought in his heart, just enough to try a new skill. Tenhoner Chimei, the heavens and the earth seemed to blow an autumn breeze, and the grass and trees in a radius of 100,000 miles suddenly turned yellow. Fallen leaves flew and slowly floated in the air. Behind Yuanjie, there was a goddess phantom who slowly raised her head. She opened her eyes, she pursed her lips and smiled, and she pointed to the void. In an instant, the size of that combined fish became smaller, at least 10 times smaller. What? The Sharingan family and the onlookers were immediately shocked. I blanch, what the hell is this technique? Can actually weaken the opponent's moves? Terrifying, everyone couldn't help but gasp. However, even if it was weakened tenfold, it was a unique move that more than a dozen flying immortal realm low-level blasted out together. Yuanjie, can he really block it? Susanoo took off, and his body burst out of true ki. It was Shinra Tenzeigan. Build the Imperial Thunder God. Then, Susanoo turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed towards the giant carpenter. Named Biguna, the giant fish collided all the way into the enlarged black cube, and it was greeted by roaring Amazasu. Heavenly obstruction shocking star. Then, the extraterrestrial meteorite revealed its hideous face and crashed towards the giant carpenter. At this time, Fashiang Shiandi Kaguya came out of the Shinwei space. She flew up, raised her left hand, and a red reincarnation eye appeared in the palm of her hand. High Imperial Birthday God, she sighed and absorbed part of the power of the giant carpenter. At the same time, she cast a divine power and sucked some of her power into the divine power space. When promoted to the true realm, Dharma phase heaven and earth will completely become a person, and the caster can use the skills of Dharma phase heaven and earth. However, after being promoted to the God King realm, Dharma heaven and earth can even learn all the skills of the caster in turn. Therefore, Kaguya is equal to Yuanjie's other doppelganger, but this doppelganger, unlike him, is a cold beauty. It is worth noting that the vast majority of physiques do not use Dharma heaven and earth. Because the body system itself is mainly refining the body, there is very little spiritual power in the body. How can there be excess spiritual power to burn and release the Dharma heaven and earth? For the strong of the physical system, the law phase heaven and earth is a chicken rib skill. It is a pity to abandon it. The food is tasteless, and it does not have much bonus effect in the battle. Even if he was as strong as Yuanjie, he had hardly used Dharma heaven and earth. To be precise, the vast majority of Yuanjie Xianjiao will not release the Dharma heaven and earth, except for Yuanjie, a strange person with dual cultivation of the Dharma body. Therefore, when Kaguya suddenly appeared, everyone in the Sharingan family was stunned. Isn't strengthening the eyes a physical system? Why is his Dharma heaven and earth still so powerful? Is this scientific? Just as they were deep in thought, Kaguya raised his right hand and attracted the Dao Jade behind Yuanjie, who gathered together and emitted a dazzling golden light. Golden wheel rebirth explosion. A golden sword split the giant fish in half, weakening the attack. 80 God air strike. In the sky, huge fists bombarded the giant fish. Swell and seek Dao Jade. Kaguya's body continued to expand, first transforming into a spirit beast, and finally turning into a huge black sphere. A dazzling light burst out, and everyone's eyes were illuminated beyond opening. The giant carp, which eventually dissipated. With the cultivation of the first order of the God King realm, Yuanjie successfully scattered the unique moves issued by more than 100 flying immortal realm powerhouses together. The endless moves made everyone who ate melons numb. In the eyes of the ancient Ning family, Yuanjie was not weaker than his grandfather Yuanjie at all, and in some cases, even trickier than Yuanjie. Damn it! Why are the Yuan families all perverted? Ningzi was indignant. First of all, Yuanjie, who can replicate all skills, then Yuanjie, who destroys everything with the light of annihilation, and then Yuanjie who bombards all kinds of big scenes and divine skills in turn, and the three ancestors and grandchildren compare all the people of their time. In their hearts, the idea that the Yuan family will die once again arises. As long as the Yuan family is there one day, others don't think about it. Today, you must die. The powerhouses of the ancient Ning family seized the time to recover their physical strength and prepared to burst out another move. They don't believe it. Can Yuanjie block one move? Can he block the second move? Azu, and at this moment, a dazzling green light shone on everyone in the ancient Ning family. They were shocked to find that their cultivation was falling. What the hell is this? The crowd was amazed. Why is there such a strange situation in the world? There are quite a few low-level flying immortal realm powerhouses who have fallen to the God King realm in cultivation. The heavenly spike sun fate just now not only weakened the power of the giant fish, but also weakened the other party's God realm, but it took effect a little late. Yuanjie got rid of the shackles of the realm of gods. He twisted his neck and sneered, "Seeing that you have struggled for so long, it is up to me to perform, Subichira." As soon as the words fell, blue eyes suddenly appeared in the sky. The blue eyes blinked, and finally, the heaven and earth shattered like glass being broken. All the clansmen of the ancient Ning family who were below or equal to the first order of the God King realm, their bodies were petrified, and at the moment of shattering, they turned into graphite. And the powerhouses above this cultivation level were greatly restricted in their movements, and the speed of divine power flow slowed down a lot. Azu and Subitomo are exclusive pupils evolved from the Eye of Reincarnation and the Eye of Rebirth. The power is naturally extraordinary, and it is even worse than the skills of the Earth Explosion Star and the Heavenly Barrier Shocking Star. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338. In the eyes of everyone in the ancient famous family, Yuanjie was much more terrifying than his grandfather Yuanshan. Yuanshan, just a big move, many people are familiar with their skills, can make ways to deal with it. But Yuanjie, there will always be a lot of tricks that have never been seen before, and the effect is perverted. As the saying goes, knowing oneself and knowing one's opponent is 100 victories, and conversely, it is difficult for you to defeat an enemy who does not know what skills you have in the last one. In fact, even if they understand Yuanjie's skills, what if he has a lot of skills, and you don't know which one he will use in the next second? Even if you know, it is difficult to deal with it. In particular, his eye's exclusive pupil technique, it can be said that there is no solution, cannot be blocked, and it is instantaneous. Sooner or later he will have to suffer. The Shanguning family suffered a big loss, and after they had Subizhir, they couldn't move, which was even more exaggerated than the realm of gods. Is this his realm of god? Why is it so much stronger than mine? Ning Zion's face turned pale. They all misunderstood, thinking that this move was the realm of god. The next moment, a dense black rod suddenly grew from the ground in a moment, directly penetrating the body of the bound ancient Ning family powerhouse. They are just cultivators, far from reaching the realm of immortals, and there is no such thing as divine awareness. To die, is to die, and to die when the heart stops beating. Ning Zion watched her family members die one after another, and her eyes turned red. It was hard to get rid of that terrible alien space, thinking that he could regain his freedom and develop his ambitions after being born. But not long after they came out, an unreasonable sworn enemy of the Yuan family immediately came to destroy them. Ning Zion really couldn't swallow this breath. By what? Why is the Yuan family like a dragon? Why is their bloodline superior and can control the fate of others? He is not convinced, but what is the use of disobedience? The sins were created by the ancestors, but the evil consequences made them pay. If she had known that this was the result, she would not have let the clansmen come out. Shisuking hurriedly dissuaded Yuanjie from stopping and not fighting anymore. But Yuanjie didn't care what he said, and everywhere he looked, it was the black rod jungle. The blood-stained black rod, pointed bulges on the earth, a cool breeze blew through, and it was bleak. The Shanguning family was buried in the long river of history, and this cruel history was written by Yuanjie himself. He wasn't happy, because it had happened a long time ago. He was just doing useless work inventing. Yuanjie, who killed a chicken in his previous life, now personally destroyed the Shanguning family, but his mood did not wave. What changed him? The city lord of Falling Dragon City was ordered to arrange for his men to clean up the battlefield. When they arrived at the scene, they couldn't help but gasp. Good, so powerful destructive power, that's natural. Emperor Yuan's cultivation is to the sky. You didn't see how fierce the fight was just now. One thing I don't quite understand, why will the hidden door be born again after 2 years? Yuanjie walked into the passage of time and space, crossed tens of thousands of miles in one step, and came to Jingcheng. At this time, Grandpa Yuanjie was talking to the Guyan family about garbage. Yuanjie, I can't imagine that after 100,000 years, you are still alive? Weren't you already dead then? Yin Yang looked at the little boy not far away with a horrified expression. Obviously, back then, that person's corpse was brutally divided, and only the skeleton remained. Why did he see him again? Yin Yang once wondered if he was blinded. Yuanjie smiled and did not speak. There are some things that have nothing to say with a dying person. He was waiting for the other side to can't help but move, and then it was his turn to perform. Related to his pupil talent, Yuanjie does not have his own moves and styles at all, and the feudal depends on copy and paste. It's not that he doesn't want to learn, it's that he can't learn it, and he forgets it. However, Yuanjie's spiritual power pool was very, very large, even 1,000 times as wide as the same level physique Yuanjie, which was very exaggerated. Because of this, he was able to effortlessly reproduce the God King seal, and dozens of them were smashed. It is very difficult for others to put a big move, but he can put multiple in a row. Seeing that the other party did not act, Yuanjie mocked, "What's wrong? Without your group of fathers, their own family would not dare to make a move? 100,000 years ago, you could kill me once, and after 100,000 years, why don't you kill me once?" I can't imagine that a huge silver family has given birth to a group of people who steal their lives, greedy for life and fear death, which is really a shame for the Guardian family. The people of the ancient silver family gritted their teeth one after another, but the family owner had an order, and he must not make a move. Yin Yang was also very angry when he heard this, but he knew that this was Yuanjie's radical method, and he would never be able to fall for it. As long as they don't do it, Yuanjie has nothing to do. He once felt the horror of Yuanjie intimately. Even if you put only a very inconspicuous skill, that hair can turn it into a big move. It's like you only spit on a mouthful of saliva, but Yuanjie can return you with a meal of saliva and drown you directly. And at this moment, a deep black hole appeared in the air. Yuanjie and Kaguya crossed over from the void, and he did not bring Zizishuang and Shizuoqing. When Yuanyang noticed the person coming, he couldn't help but be shocked. One Yuanjie is terrifying enough. Why is there a second Yuan family Xianjiao in this world who has a different pupil technique? Grandpa, haven't started yet. Yuanjie helplessly stalled hands. They are too intimidating. Hanging up in the safe area, a group of soft eggs who only dare to move their mouths. Oh, Yuanjie saw a team of about 5,000 people, wearing all gray silver family clothes. And they are in the center of Jingcheng. Yin Yang laughed wildly and did not hide it. Ha ha ha, if you have the courage, you can do it. Believe it or not, the Battle of the Flying Fairyland, everyone in the city must die. They just calculated each other's weaknesses, and along the way they had learned that the Sharingan dynasty was built by the Yuan family, and they threatened the lives of the people of the Sharingan dynasty to make the other party have nothing to do. Indeed, it's a bit difficult. Yuanjie fell silent, as long as the other party did not go out of the city for a day. He had no choice but to be threatened by them. Jingcheng is a megacity with a population of 1 billion, and it must not be fought here when it is not a last resort. At this time, a voice sounded in Yuanjie's mind. It was Kaguya's voice. Are you sure you can do that? He looked at the white-haired woman beside him, and saw a rare smile on Kaguya's cold face. Kaguya leaned over and flew away, arms open. Suddenly, everyone in the ancient silver family suddenly felt that heaven and earth had changed. The surrounding modern buildings are gone, replaced by a desolate world of ice and snow. I blanch. Where is this? Chapter 339. It's heavenly got you. Yuanjie never expected that this trick actually had the ability to forcibly strip people of reality and bring them into a different space. Moreover, this is not as simple as 1 or 2 people, but a whole 5,000 people. Moreover, the other party's cultivation is far ahead of Kaguya. Kaguya's cultivation is exactly the same as Yuanjie's, only at the level of the first order of the God King realm. Ha ha ha, or my grandson has the ability. Yuanjie let out a hearty laugh. Then, he looked at Yuanjie. You can pinch a skill casually, let me copy it, okay? Yuanjie first closed his eyes, and then opened his eyes, and a giant spirit god slowly stood upright, revealing a majestic face. The giant spirit god slowly raised his right hand expressionlessly, stretched out his index finger, and pressed towards this piece of heaven and earth. The strong people of the ancient silver family are stupid. What kind of skill is this? So grand? Shocking 100,000 years. Have you ever seen a god bigger than a planet? It is obviously just a simple finger, but it is like the end of the world, with a suffocating crisis. The sky of this space suddenly darkened, and when I looked up, there was only one finger in the sky. But this finger feels bigger than the sky. It's over. Yuanjie is going to copy. After Yin Yang was able to block this wave of offensive, he spat out blood. Although Yuanjie is only in the first order of the God King realm, his divine power has reached the level of the flying immortal realm. This move still caused them a huge amount of damage. Not only shocking, but also really hurtful. Double torture from the heart to the flesh. As soon as the words fell, the giant spirit god stood up in all directions, and someone counted a little, and there were actually more than a dozen. My god. This time it was not the heavenly standing line launched by Yuanjie, but it was reproduced by his grandfather Yuanjie, and the power was even more terrifying. If this Nima were to be completely pressed down, wouldn't it be shattered? Master, what should I do? The ancient silver family asked anxiously. What to do? Block. You have to block it. Yin Yang roared. Quick, everyone use their strongest move and take turns to resist the attack. And just when they bombarded the fingers of the giant spirit god with all their strength, they found that one of the fingers of the gods had disappeared, and heaven and earth had regained their clarity. Oops, this is an illusion. Yin Yang secretly said that it was not good. When the 9 families attacked the Yuan family, they had investigated Yuanjie's pupil technique and knew that the other party had a characteristic. That's true or false. Don't look at the skills copied so much. In fact, there are only a few real harms. Everything else is bluffing, fake. 100,000 years ago, the rebels of their 9 major families had suffered losses at the hands of Yuanjie. At that time, Yuanjie copied 50 or 60 God King seals, and when they tried their best to block it, they found that they were fake. Yuanjie first used fake ones to confuse you and consume your divine power, and then unknowingly, when you let your guard down, you fell behind a real move and caught you off guard. In fact, Yuanjie's most heaven-defying ability is not a copy, but an illusory trick. When you think it's true, it's fake, and when you think the wolf is coming it's fake, it turns out to be true. What to do? The head of the house? The strong man of the ancient silver family was so angry that he vomited a mouthful of blood and spent a lot of divine power, and as a result, you tell me, is this a fake move? Yin Yang said irritably, don't ask me, I don't know what to do, there is no other way but to go all out. Yuanjie flew in the air. He quietly used the ability of white eyes to observe the dozen giant spirit gods that were reproduced. Good fellow, he couldn't see which move was real and which move was fake. From the fluctuations of spiritual power, it seemed that every giant spirit god was real. But is that really the case? Even his white eyes, which can only penetrate all essences, can't see anything. What about the others? However, when Yuanjie carefully observed the flow of the giant spirit god's divine power, he found a very subtle difference. It seems that the flow direction of the divine power of the giant spirit god is all reversed. If this trick is not a skill he himself is proficient in, it is difficult to spot this blind spot. In other words, these dozen giant spirit gods are likely to be fake, and Grandpa is just bluffing. Sure enough, the strong man of the ancient silver family was made haggard. The further they go, the more they dare not relax, for fear that a sudden move will really sanction them all. Abominable. Which one is real? Yin Yang took out a pill and ate it to replenish his divine power. I finally persevered to the last one. This giant spirit god should always be real, right? I never expected that it was still fake. The clansmen of the ancient silver family vomited a mouthful of blood fiercely. Why are you kidding us? But Yin Yang's face was heavy, and he knew that Yuanjie had broken through again. That kind of breakthrough does not refer to a breakthrough in cultivation. Yuanjie's cultivation is the same as before death, only the 7th order of the God King realm. It is the use of pupil technique, which is more refined. Previously, 9 times out of 10 it was fake, but there will definitely be one that is true, and it is absolutely impossible to be all fake. But now, why can Yuanjie make all skills fake? He frowned and glanced at the little boy flying in midair. Yuanjie felt the other party's gaze, and he smiled slightly at Yin Yang. Put another skill, the trick you just made, it's a bit difficult to replicate. In fact, It is not that Yuanxian's understanding of pupil art is deep, but that the trick of Xianzi Changli is really a bit complicated, and he wants to perfectly replicate. It is definitely not something that can be comprehended in a moment, and he needs a period of time to learn. Therefore, in a short period of time, he only learned the skin, and he could not do any harm at all. Okay, Yuanjie nodded, and then, a huge meteorite broke through the clouds and mist and descended from the sky. Boom, the extraterrestrial meteorite descends rapidly, and when it passes through the atmosphere, the bottom even rubs flames against the air, like a meteor cutting through the sky. It's just that this meteor is not here to make a wish for you, but to ask for your life. Extraterrestrial meteorites smashed into the crowd of the ancient Silver family, and most of those who cultivated into the flying immortal realm were directly smashed to death. Because just now, in order to block one of the god fingers of the giant spirit god, it took a lot of divine power, and now is the time to be weak. The green light in Yuanxian's eyes was great, and this time, he would show no mercy. If someone flies at an altitude of tens of thousands of meters, they will definitely find that one extraterrestrial meteorite after another is constantly flying towards Langsing. The people of Jingcheng raised their heads and saw countless extraterrestrial meteorites falling. "Dad, there's a shooting star," a little girl jumped up excitedly. The man hugged her dotingly, raised his head and said, "That's not a meteor, that's the era of peace that Emperor Yuan personally created for us, everyone in the ancient Silver family." This time, instead of facing the giant spirit god, he faced hundreds of extraterrestrial meteorites. Chapter 340. Yin Yang's eyes were dull, feeling that he couldn't lift it in one breath. Are there so many? Just the Yuanjie of the first order of the God King realm? The extraterrestrial meteorite he smashed down, they were difficult to stop. And this time, it is the ninth order of the God King realm, infinitely close to the Yuantian of the flying immortal realm. Is this the power of humanity? Someone from the ancient Silver family murmured. If they didn't understand the giant spirit god's trick just now, maybe they didn't think it was so exaggerated. But now, they were really completely shocked, and the feeling of despair to suffocation was really uncomfortable. The sky kept streaking through the shooting stars, falling one after the other. They don't know exactly how many extraterrestrial meteorites there are, but they only know that each one is extremely huge. Although I know it, there must be a fake in it, and there is a blinding method. But this is almost enough to have thousands of extraterrestrial meteorites. Even if there is only a 1% chance, it is enough to crush them. "Master, what should I do?" The clansmen looked at Yin Yang anxiously. They didn't want to die. They finally came out of that ghost place, and no one wanted to burp on the first day they breathed fresh air. Yin Yang yelled, "You ask me, who am I asking specifically?" Some clansmen were puzzled. Hasn't our family always been friendly with the Yuan family for generations? Why do they do this to us? Most of the people who enter the alien space are the younger generation, and many of them simply do not understand the truth of the matter. Even if you know that after 100,000 years, it has long been worn out. They thought that the Yuan family, like them, could afford to hold it and put it down. But they underestimated the value of hatred of a person, especially Yuanxian. He simply hated these 9 families, and if it weren't for them, his sons and daughters-in-law and grandsons would have a happy future. Yuantian stood expressionless in midair, with various emotions in his eyes, but he lacked pain. Even if he killed all 9 families, he would not be able to save the lives of his relatives. The suffering that Sun Zi Yuanjie once suffered cannot be written off. Yuanxian is now vengeful. Therefore, these 1,000 extraterrestrial meteorites are actually real. He is now a body reborn in the soil, and his body contains countless divine powers, which can be said to never be exhausted. Not to mention 1,000 meteorites, even if it is 10,000, he can easily get it. One thing is to say, he likes this body a little, and if he has the opportunity to be resurrected, he still has to consider it. It's just that there is a disadvantage in the rebirth of dirt, which he doesn't like very much, that is, he can't cultivate, and his cultivation stays in the state before death. Yuanxian, can you let us go? They were just children, and they did not participate in the siege and killing of the Yuan family. Yin Yang saw that the meteorite outside the sky was about to fall, and he hurriedly begged for mercy. What? The people of the ancient Silver family were stunned, but they didn't expect the family to have this kind of past. "Master, what's going on? Hasn't the Yuan family always taken good care of our family? Why should they be enemies?" The clansmen couldn't figure out why they were doing it. In the eyes of most family members, the Yuan family has always been the image of a good big brother. Not only is there a marriage relationship, but also, the cultivation resources and exercises of the Yuan family are actually shared with the 12 guardian families. They are like a family. If one of the families is bullied, it will always be the Yuan family who rushes to the front. Said to be the guardian family, in fact, the Yuan family guarded them almost the same. I think back then, the Shen Tu family provoked the orc race for no reason, and the Yuan family didn't say a word, and directly pressed the realm. Of course, it was precisely because of that battle that many Yuanjie Xianjiao died, and Xianan's brother died in that battle. Since then, the strength of the Yuan family has begun to fall, and it is no longer as glorious as before. Although the Yuan family is famous for its super pupil technique, there are other heterogeneous physiques Xianjiao, such as Xianan. It can only be said that it is a pity, otherwise, the Yuan family would not choose to stop the loss in time and move to the upper realm en masse. Because they realized that their strength was beginning to be insufficient, and their bloodlines were weak, far from their previous dominance. Moreover, the ancestors were in the upper realm, breaking out of heaven and earth, waiting for them to conquer. He was a personal witness 100,000 years ago, and even a hero. Because he secretly found the room where Yuan Xiansheng and his wife were hiding, and personally caused Xiao Yuanjie to threaten Yuan Tian to kill himself. After the fact, he got a lot of rewards, which can be described as a momentary beauty. It's just that this scenery didn't exist for long, and 5 years later, due to the destruction of the laws of Heaven's Dao, all the ancient famous families were forced to transfer to different spaces to retain the fire. However, they did not tell the truth to their clansmen back then, because winning was really not very glorious. It now seems that the original caution has been sown today. Some clansmen of the ancient Yin family began to stir, and they all surrounded Yin Yang. Just like back then, they surrounded Yuanjie. The head of the family, there is a dead and a master. For the sake of the lives of thousands of people in the Yin family, you can only sacrifice it. Yin Yang's face was heavy. He never expected that there would be such a day. Master, why should we pay for the mistakes you made before? Is this fair? That's right, we don't know anything, and we were sanctioned by the Yuan family like this, and we are not convinced. Kill to pay for your life. You were a participant back then, just die of you. Yuan Tian and Yuanjie were suspended in midair, watching the farce below. Yin Yang will not understand why he will be cornered by the clansmen who have always taken good care of him. Yuanjie, did you see it? Is this the result you want? Yin Yang raised his head and yelled. Do you have to let me die before you let them go? When Yin Yang shouted this sentence, there were blood and tears in his eyes. He was different from Yuanjie, he was anxious. Who wants to die if given the chance? However, if he only needs to sacrifice alone, he can exchange for thousands of silver family members to live. This price he can accept. People's lives are like clouds of smoke. How can they talk about life like a feather, and die like Mount High? Dead is dead, only those who care will be heartbroken. And after other people get together for a while, they should eat and drink. Who remembers that you originally hung on the wall? Yin Yang suddenly felt that he was great and that his death was very valuable. Yuanjie smiled faintly, and he pointed out emptily, You, kill him first, and then come and negotiate conditions with me. Have a play? The ancient silver family seemed to see hope, and the landing speed of the extraterrestrial meteorite slowed down and stagnated in midair. You promise me first, as long as I die, you will let them go. Yin Yang was pinned to the ground by the clansmen, and he roared tearfully. At this time, everyone in the ancient silver family also stopped moving and raised their heads to wait for Yuanjie's answer. Yuanjie looked at them with disdain, and his tone was very cold. I don't know what confidence you really have. Come and negotiate terms with me. At this time, the speed of the meteorite landing in the sky suddenly increased. Chapter 341. When Yin Yang saw it, his eyes lost their brilliance, and he knew that he would die today no matter what. Let's do it, he let out a sigh. Today, he finally experienced the despair of Yuan Tian. Being held in the hands of someone is really desperate, but helpless. Master, I'm sorry. Some clansmen bowed deeply to him, then took out a long knife and stabbed him in the heart. Yin Yang's body trembled, and his eyes widened. It is said that when a person with regrets dies, he will not be blinded. Wang Qing is like this, and Yin Yang is also like this. At that time, because his eyes were gouged out by him, he had always closed his eyes, and there was no dead look. Yin Yang is the Xianjiao of the younger generation of the ancient silver family, and his physique is infinitely close to the SSS level, But it is not in the end. Before he swallowed, he recalled the past experience. To say that he has done the most proud, it is to single-handedly turn the situation on the battlefield around when the 9 races rebelled. To say that he has done the thing he regrets the most, it is also this thing. If he hadn't participated, perhaps he wouldn't have been driven to death by everyone today. Perhaps Yuanjie did not account for the sins committed by the Silver family back then. Perhaps the Silver family will regain its glory in 100,000 years. There's a lot more maybe, just maybe. Cut off his flesh and blood with your own hands. Whoever cuts more, who has a better chance of survival? Yuanjie ordered expressionlessly. Everyone in the ancient Silver family was stunned, but they didn't expect the other party's request to be so cruel. But looking up, the meteorites outside the sky were within walking distance of the world, and seeing that they were about to fall down and smash them to pieces, they no longer hesitated. Ho-ha, Yuanjie laughed maniacally in relief. At that time, he watched himself be divided by a group of rebels. Now this pain should let Yin Yang also try it. Yin Yang, who turned into a spirit body, looked at the desperate struggle for his flesh and blood with complicated eyes, never expecting that 100,000 years was just a reincarnation. Everyone from the ancient Silver family, whose hands were stained with blood, looked hopefully into the air. Their eyes seemed to say, "Look, I have done everything according to your requirements, should you let me go?" However, the only thing that answered them was the extraterrestrial meteorite that began to land again. "What do you mean? Backtracked?" The corners of Yuanjie's mouth were disdainful, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Did I promise you? Back then, they let go of the ordinary people of the Yuan family. Don't talk about people, even when they see a chicken, they have to go up and cut twice. It seems to me that you are of a family, with the same filthy blood flowing through you. Whether your ancestors were involved in that incident or not, like him, damn it. It's just that our Yuan family was too benevolent before, and was too reasonable and considerate with you, so that we raised you white-eyed wolves." Boom. The first extraterrestrial meteorite was pressed, and the powerhouses of the ancient Silver family cast spells to destroy it. This was followed by the second one, which was destroyed again. "Nope. You can't do this." The yin-yang spirit body roared heartbreakingly. Only, there was no response at all. There was no Yisuking present. Only her special physique could see and hear. One after another, extraterrestrial meteorites, mixed with heavy force, smashed into the crowd. Although the powerhouses of the ancient Silver family have all blocked it, there will be a moment when the divine power will eventually be exhausted. When the meteorite fell to the 10th day, they finally couldn't support it, and a mouthful of old blood sprayed on the ground. "Heaven will kill my Yin family," some people said sadly, crying. "I didn't expect such a result. No one would have thought that they would die when they were born." Before I could take a good look at the world, I waved goodbye again. "Yuanjie, you must not die." "Well," Yuanjie laughed, "I've died once, I'll still be afraid of your curse." "Yuanjie, you will never be born beyond life." Yuanjie sighed, "Secretly tell you, I took the initiative not to choose reincarnation. This world is too beautiful, I don't want to leave yet." "Yuanjie, your Yuan family is all hypocrites. I curse your ancestors for 18 generations." Yuanjie's eyes were disdainful. "Scold me, don't scold my Yuan family. Besides, my ancestors have lived well in the upper realm for 18 generations, don't bother you to care." Then, his right hand pressed down, and the speed of the meteorite landing outside the sky became more rapid. I don't know how long it rained, but I heard a burst of thunder. The rain stops, the thunder stops. Yuanjie looked at this small world, which was filled with stones, and thought in his heart that he would have to clean up in the future. Kagui just waved his small hand, and the space changed back to its original state again, leaving no trace of the ancient Silver family. "Good fellow, is it so amazing?" The two were stunned. Yuanjie jumped up, patted his grandson's shoulder, and said in a deep voice, "Let's go." "Go back." Yuanjie opened the time and space passage and crossed tens of thousands of miles in one step, directly reaching the Byakugan Imperial Palace. On the way back to the palace, Yuanjie was very silent. It can be seen that this killing did not bring him much pleasure, more other emotions. "Grandpa, I destroyed the Ning family, but let the Z family go?" Yuanjie was stunned and looked at Yuanjie blankly. Yuanjie said ashamedly, "I don't know if I did it right. If Grandpa thinks that the Z family should also die, then I will directly destroy it." Yuanjie shook his head and said, "The Z family is more special. They still kept the promise and raised you. Moreover, It is Xiao Shuang's family, you will let them go, I expected. However, I hope you will learn from the lessons of the older generation. It's important to remember that the human heart changes, Yuanjie explained. I signed a master-servant contract for them, and they will never betray me. He said this to reassure his grandfather. Master-servant contract. Yuanjie looked up information about these 4 words from his memory, and was immediately shocked. What? Can you trick them into signing such a harsh contract? Yuanjie smiled. It's man-made. If the Yin family is in that situation just now, they will definitely choose this road in order to survive. Yuanjie nodded and agreed very much. Also, people can do anything in order to survive. After the two said goodbye, Yuanjie returned to the dormitory and saw Yasuke knitting a scarf for him. Here, try it first, Yuanjie smiled bitterly. How could he be afraid of the cold as a cultivator of the Divine King realm? Yasuke stood on tiptoe and wrapped her scarf around his erection, her big eyes fluttering. It looks good, it goes well with your clothes. Yuanjie put his arm around her little man's waist and imprinted it on her lips fiercely. Wait, Yasuke blushed and pushed him away. What's wrong? Sister Menghan is here. Yuanjie turned around and was stunned. Good guy, there are really people here to watch a good show. Chapter 342. What is Yu Menghan doing here? Yuanjie didn't know. Yasuke threw him a look and then twisted his crotch and left, leaving the alone space for the two. In fact, as early as 2 years ago, Yuanjie and Yasuke couldn't bear the loneliness and began to communicate with each other. Let Yasuke shout unbearable. It's too fierce, it's really too fierce, it's more than 100 times stronger than the original world. Just kidding, even if Yuanjie doesn't open the state of immortal arts and 6 patterns now, his physical body is far beyond others. After that night, Yasuke's heart palpitated. Only now did she know that the world did not adopt monogamy to protect women. At this moment, she completely figured it out, and secretly made up her mind that she must find a few good sisters to share the pain. But that feeling of wanting to die made her want to stop. But after a long time, she couldn't stand it. Therefore, in the past 2 years, she has been deliberately bringing Yu Menghan and Yuanjie together. The only regret is that Yasuke's stomach has not moved. Perhaps, the higher the physique, the more difficult it is to conceive. This sentence is true. Yuanjie also knew Yasuke's intentions, but he actually didn't know what to do. He was not the kind of flowery carrot, and the Yasuke and Li Tiansha he currently likes have an emotional basis, but they are not with Yu Menghan. Unexpectedly, Yasuke gave him a blank look and said coquettishly, if you have no emotional foundation, you will slowly cultivate. Yuanjie was instantly speechless, so he began to observe Yu Menghan's movements intentionally or unintentionally. He found that there was an inexplicable charm in this woman. In life, she is gentle and considerate and understanding. At work, she is meticulous and responsible. She is a perfect partner in every way. In the 6 years after the war, the Yuan dynasty developed rapidly and the people's living standards were greatly improved, and all this was inseparable from Yu Menghan's efforts. It was she alone who supported the entire Sharingan dynasty's Ministry of Commerce. Although it is said that there must be Yasuke's advice, the actual operator is Yu Menghan. She travels all over the world, patrolling shops and exploring business opportunities. Not only has the Yu family grown into a unique super family under her leadership, leaving the Huangfu family and the Wang family far behind. It can be seen that she is a capable woman. Yuanjie's good impression of her gradually became warm. The two tried to get along, and with the assistance of Yasuke, the two dated many times. I don't know why, Yuanjie always has an illusion. He felt that Yu Menghan seemed to be his destined wife. This feeling is very strange, and he can't say it specifically. The two seem to have known each other for a long time, and they fell in love at first sight, love at first sight, and love at first sight. Yu Menghan stood up and opened the box placed aside. She said with a smile, this is what I made for you, your favorite mung bean cake, try it quickly. Good. Yuanjie picked it up and put it in his mouth, and a faint sweetness spread in his mouth. How? Is it tasty? Delicious. Yuanjie looked at her seriously. The woman in front of him, in order to take care of him, actually made small snacks with her own hands every day for 365 days, rain or shine. Even a stone will be softened by her gentleness. Yu Menghan gently pushed the box over. If it's delicious, you will eat more, don't you eat? When I made it at home, I already ate it, and I gave it all to you. Yuanjie glanced at it silently, a full box. There were dozens of mung bean cakes. He gently grabbed the other party's softness, and Yu Menghen's delicate body trembled slightly. It was his first active body movement, and she had waited too long. Together. 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 Yi Suking, who was hiding in the shadows, clenched her pink fists and shouted softly. Li Tiansha does not know the movement at present, and the only thing that can share the pain for her is Yu Menghen. In her heart, she has long identified with his sister. Yi Suking has lived 2 lifetimes and has seen such a perfect woman for the first time. Whether it is life, work, personality, appearance, or figure, all are impeccable. As for family lineage, that's not to mention. The first family of the Sharingan dynasty, the former head of the Yu family. In the eyes of the minister, Yu Menghen has always been the best candidate for the empress. She is generous, she is graceful and magnificent, she talks elegantly, she has a temperament. After Yuanjie established the Sharingan dynasty, the 2 women around him made a lot of contributions to him. Yi Suking guarded his home and used force to suppress all those who harbored different intentions. Yuanjie was embarrassed to do things because of her identity, and she did. Yuanjie is the emperor of people standing in the light, and she is the king of Yan hidden in the darkness. Rain Meng nurtures his family and brings prosperity to this country with wisdom and action. Without her hard work, the Sharingan dynasty would definitely not have been able to settle down in just a few years. The prosperous era of Yuan began, and the people lived and worked in peace and contentment, and lived a prosperous life. It can't be said which of these 2 women has made a greater contribution, it can only be said that one is indispensable. Yu Menghen's beautiful eyes flowed, she was waiting for him to say that sentence. On the other side, Yuanjie walked to the edge of the flower pond and found Zizishuang standing alone by the pool, thinking quietly. Zizishuang was already able to walk freely in this world a long time ago. It's just that her cultivation has not broken through, and she is still at the level of the 7th order of the God King realm, perhaps because she has been recovering her cultivation and has no time to cultivate. Coming, here it is, alone, chat with me, chat with you. The 2 inexplicably came to a wave of Cologne-style conversations, and then looked at the flowers in the pool together, and silence resumed. Yuanjie couldn't help it at first. He opened his mouth and asked, "How did you think about the things I asked you to think about a few years ago?" Zizishuang shook her head and said, "No need to ask, I'm not interested." She knew what Yuanjie meant, which was nothing more than asking her to marry his grandson. Why? I'm not appropriate with him, no matter how good Yuanjie is. In her eyes, he is not as good as that man. Moreover, although the age of the 2 people is close, the era in which the 2 people were born is 100,000 years apart, and there is a generation gap. For a long time, Zizishuang spoke. She looked at Yuanjian's eyes seriously and said, "If I have the chance, I still want to be with you." Yuanjie was silent. He didn't expect that the other party had passed so long, and he still missed him. He didn't understand, what was in him that attracted her? "Will you accept me?" Zizishuang continued to ask. Yuanjie let out a soft breath and sighed. "You also saw that my appearance of being a person is not a ghost or a ghost, and I really dare not delay you. There is nothing to delay. 100,000 years have passed. 100,000 years of loneliness can endure the past. Why wait for another 100,000 years?" It's just that Yuanjie really didn't dare to give her a clear answer. "If I can be resurrected, I will reach the upper realm. Let's be together." Chapter 343. Let's be together. Yu Menghen's eyes widened. Although she waited for this sentence for a long time, she always felt that it was not real. Really? Yuanjie told her with actions. He walked over and took the other person into his arms, smelling her unique floral fragrance. "Ness. That's great." Yi Suking gestured. The rain in Yuanjie's arms was unconsciously crying. He was stunned and cried decently. "What's wrong? I'm just so happy." Yuanjie hugged her tightly, and said gently, "Over the years, you have worked hard." In order to pry his heart, Yu Menghen did everything he saw. Strictly speaking, even without Yi Suking's assist, over time, Yuanjie will be moved by Yu Menghen's sincerity. "Let's be together." This sentence has been ringing in Yu Menghen's ears. She has been waiting for this day for more than 100,000 years. Transported from Earth to this world, she becomes a human body and gets lost in the river of time, until her adoptive mother rains and snows awakens her. Yuanjie has been sealed and sleeping for 100,000 years, and she has been wandering aimlessly in this world. After experiencing bittersweet and bitter, fortunately, She has never forgotten her purpose for coming to this world. That is to find him. And then with him. Finally, the two walked into the wedding hall. Finally, in the end, having children, whiteheads and old age. Everything is a long-planned arrangement from Yu Menghan from the upper realm. And born in the past, she has been working hard for this happy ending. This way, I was so tired. Fortunately, the task was completed gloriously, and she did it. Yuanjie gently helped her wipe her tears. Don't cry, cry like a little flower cat again. Yu Menghan pulled the tip of his nose and said aggrievedly, I was originally a cat. How, you hate it? Well, not really. Yuanjie gently stroked the two lop ears on her head. Yu Menghan's body trembled involuntarily. What's wrong? I'm sensitive, so it was. Yuanjie understood. He put down his strange hand, otherwise something would happen later. Since Yuanjie said that he liked her half-human and half-cat appearance, she has since become a cat-eared lady and has not completely changed back to human form. This strange look made everyone in the Yu family unexpected. They never imagined that their own owner turned out to be a cat? Or the Misty of one of the 5 legendary divine beasts? The fluffy cat's tail behind Yu Menghan was shaking, and she could see that she was very happy. When will you marry me and enter the door? Yu Menghan raised her chin and looked at him stunnedly. Yuanjie thought for a while and said, when the shallow comes out, the 4 of us will be together. Good. Yu Menghan did not continue to entangle, and after getting this reply, the big stone in her heart settled. His promise, a promise. She knew who he was, and in the past few years, the Hidden Gate had been recommending women with good looks to Yuanjie through various channels, but unsurprisingly, all of them were rejected. Although he loves several women at the same time, there are not many, and he is a dedicated man in his bones. In this world, there are actually not many men like Yuanjie. How many emperors have 3,000 harems? And there are only 3. However, the ministers were anxious. Seeing that the Yuan dynasty was getting stronger day by day, they didn't want accidents to happen more and more. In recent years, the hidden door has come out of the void intermittently, giving them a great sense of oppression. What if, I said, a large group of monsters comes out and the Yuan emperor dies? A huge Sharingan and prosperous era. No one wants to die in the 2nd generation. However, this emperor was not close to women at all, so they had no choice. Only at the daily meeting, a symbolic urge. Emperor Yuan, about the harem concubines, Yuanjie knew that they were kind, and he was not angry in the face of the daily marriage urging. Okay, don't say it, I've made a private agreement with Yu Menghan, Minister of Commerce, for life. Everyone let out an ah, and then looked at Yu Menghan standing in the front row with their eyes brushed. Yu Menghan blushed shyly and lowered her head, and Mimu glared at Yuanjie accusingly. Yuanjie smiled at her, left the dragon chair, and walked towards the hall. Congratulations to the Minister of Commerce, Minister Zhu Yu and Emperor Yuan. Early marriage and old age, you must give birth to a noble son early. Everyone's blessings seem to revolve around the 4 words of the early birth of a noble son. Anyway, they can't avoid it. Yu Menghan is hesitating. In the future she met, her first child is a cute little daughter, Yuan Qianayu. She is now 20 years away. She was thinking, should she come early? The physique of Xu Fei is very special. Her pregnancy can be said to be simple or not. The simplicity is that as long as she wants, she can be a height at any time, and she can specify the gender, specify the time of birth. Of course, the talent is random. It is not simple to give birth to a maximum of 2 heirs in a lifetime. It's only 2, it's still too little. Yu Menghan sighed. It was said that giving birth would hurt, but she loved him, and that pain was nothing to her. Or not? Let Qianayu be born early? Yu Menghan suddenly had a very bold idea. Because in the future she actually didn't stay with Yuanjie until she went to the upper realm. The most important reason for this lies in Yi Suking. Yi Suking in that timeline could not listen to anyone's words, and resolutely refused to let Yuanjie marry again, and even forced him to die. Yuanjie had no choice but to give up, and Li Tiansha was forced to run away from the Yuan family. It wasn't until the ancestor of the Yuan family in the upper realm, the Yuan god, issued the birth order, and Yi Suking couldn't stand it, so he let go. Later, Yuanjie searched the upper realm and finally found Li Tiansha's trace and rescued her. And Yu Menghan, under the coordination of the resurrected Yuanshan, the 2 people finally became dependents. Therefore, in the future, Yu Menghan arranged the Rain Menghan of this timeline to encourage Ziononpis Abadajat wedding. Yes, The reason why Xiaonan suddenly made that kind of abnormal move was because he was subtly seduced by Yu Menghan. Moreover, at the beginning, Xiaonan did not know about the wedding and her cultivation. It was Yu Menghan who forcibly interrupted her cultivation and told her about it, adding oil and vinegar. Man forcibly changed the original course of things. Everything is going on a good side, the timeline has changed, and the future Yu Menghan cast spells in advance, making the timeline where Yu Menghan is now and become the only timeline. In other words, now that the two people are together in advance, there must be some changes for the future Yu Menghan in the upper realm. In the future, Yu Menghan. Making this series of measures is undoubtedly a gamble. If she bet right, she will have a better life, and she will not be coldly looked at by the main mother Yisuking in the family, and she will be embarrassed everywhere. Gamble wrong, disappear into jade, disappear in time, everything is a nightmare. Now it seems that she made the right bet. In that case, then I will let Qianyu be born in advance and give me a big surprise in the future. Yu Menghan looked at the man beside him, smiling like a flower. Chapter 344. The future, the upper realm. Yu Menghan quietly embroidered at home. This time, it was her turn to guard the house. 1-year-old daughter Yuan Qianyu was taken by her grandfather to bask in the sun, and her husband led a team to the west to fight, and she made peace talismans for him at home. I hope he will return safely. The upper realm is not like the lower realm. The lower realm they are invincible, but in the upper realm, which is not the top physique, if you are not careful, you will be in danger of falling. Fortunately, this time it was the ancestor Yuanjie who led the team, and Yuanjie only participated in the battle as a deputy general. Yuanjie is powerful in the sky, and there is a high probability that the husband will not be in any danger, right? At this time, in the courtyard outside the door, there was a sound of footsteps. Yu Menghan's heart tightened, and she walked over slowly and vigilantly, and suddenly the door was pushed open. Sister Menghan, do you see what I brought you? Yu Menghan's eyes widened, and she was pulled to the stone bench in the courtyard by Yisuking like a puppet. Look, this is a specialty of the Hades Palace, the flower fruit on the other side. I heard that it can enhance divine consciousness after eating. After Yisuking finished speaking, she grabbed a flower fruit on the other side and nibbled it, and seeing that the other party did not move, she handed it over. Yu Menghan looked at the people around her in disbelief. She opened her mouth and asked cautiously, Lord Mother, why are you suddenly so kind to me? If something goes wrong, there will be a demon. She was targeted. She was a little worried. Could it be the other party's conspiracy? Yisuking didn't know why. She said with a strange face, aren't we good girlfriends for more than 10 years? Have you forgotten? Xiaoji is with you, or I matched. As if a thunderbolt on a sunny day, Yu Menghan was shocked. She couldn't believe it. Where was the vicious lady who had been stumbling on her and Li Tiansha all this time? I don't know where my sister is. She is obviously following me. Yisuking finished eating a flower fruit on the other side and said to herself, Li Tiansha? Did she run away from home? What's running away from home? What are you thinking? Didn't she come to the upper realm with us? Yu Menghan nodded. Yes, then a few of us became married together. Yu Menghan then noticed that something was abnormal and changed, and it seemed that everything had changed. Do you say? The past me succeeded? At this moment, a handsome woman with a beautiful figure, wearing a white armor, walked into the courtyard. The woman is half human, half beast, with white cat ears on her head and a thin tail hanging behind her, which is cute and moving. The most striking thing is her long legs wrapped in white stockings, which make people unable to take their eyes off after seeing it. The white armor is slim, perfectly outlining her charming and attractive figure. It is a pity that such a beautiful woman is blind. Strangely, she obviously walked with her eyes closed, but she didn't bump into it. Yu Menghan subconsciously felt that she was very kind, but did not recognize who she was. Mother, I'm back. Qianyu. Yisuking covered her mouth and smiled. Sister Menghan, did you not wake up from sleep? Why don't you even know your daughter? She had only been fighting in the west with her father for a year and a half. Yu Menghan stared blankly at the stunning woman in front of him, who was half a head taller than herself, and was suddenly speechless. She was silent, tears welling up in her eyes. Grew up, but I didn't see it for an hour, and I grew from a babbling baby to a beautiful daughter. If it weren't for the cat ears on the top of Yuan Qianyu's head, she really wouldn't dare to recognize it. At this time, Li Tiansha, who was dressed in blue armor, jumped over and hugged Yu Menghan. Sister Menghan, have you missed me? Unlike the domineering spirit she exuded on the battlefield, Li Tiansha after returning home was as clingy as a little girl. Shallow? When did you get back? Did you run away from home? The more Yuanjie looked at it, the more strange it became, feeling that all this was so strange. Li Tiansha tilted his head and said, haven't I been there all the time? After speaking, she turned around and ran behind Yusuking and grabbed it fiercely. Dead Nizzy, even if Yuanjie loves to play, you can also play and make fun, right? Woohoo, who called Sister Suking so big? Damn, see I don't teach you a lesson. Yuanjie looked at life and wondered if she really didn't wake up. Yuanjie leaned into Yuanjie's ear and whispered, Mother, I know you are very confused, you come with me, I will tell you the truth of everything. Good, eldest lady Sanyang, I'll go to accompany my mother first, you eat slowly. Yusuking laughed, okay, I'll go by the way to see if the smelly boy in my family has returned. Li Tiansha hugged Yusuking's arm and said, Sister, do you want to teach me what posture is easy to win? Yuanjie pulled Yuanjie to the room and closed the door. Mother, in the past, you successfully changed the status quo, so everything has changed for the better. In Yuanjie's heart, a big stone fell, and she held her daughter's hand tightly and said, got it, you don't have to worry about your mother. I will slowly get used to all this. It's just that I didn't expect that when you were a child, you never opened your eyes, and your father and I were very worried at that time. She sighed sadly. I didn't expect that when you grow up, you will still look like this. She reflected on whether she had lived too long, causing genetic aging, making her daughter suffer, and was born with a disability. A soft smile appeared on Yuanjie's face, and she shook her head and said, Mother, don't worry, the child is not disabled. The child is not blind, but my pupil technique is a little terrible. Ordinary people can't see it. Yuanjie rubbed her daughter's face with distress. No matter how strange and terrifying it was also her own flesh and bones. She really didn't want to look at her daughter's closed eyes, and in the Yuan family, which is famous for its super pupil technique, she was controversial and became an outlier. Mother, are you sure you want to look into my eyes? Yuanjie nodded. No matter how terrifying it was, she could accept it. Yuanjie slowly opened her eyes, only to see that there was nothing in her eye sockets, and there were no pupils at all. Instead, there are swirls of white and black light. Yuanjie instantly broke her defense. What is the difference between her daughter's appearance and the disabled? But in the next second, her figure froze and fell into the river of time. Mother, my white left eye represents the past, and my black right eye symbolizes the future. Everyone who has seen my eyes can see their past and present lives. Past and future. She snapped her fingers, and Yuanjie regained consciousness. What kind of ability are you awakening? Yuanjie was shocked, and the huge amount of information just now made her unable to fully digest it in a short time. She only knows one thing, she arranged her past self before and completed the task gloriously. Turn all the bad futures around. Yuanjie smiled mysteriously. Mother, you guess? Yuanjie shook his head with a smile, indicating that he didn't want to guess. Although I don't know my daughter's specific ability, whether she is strong or weak, she is always the flesh and blood born of her 12 months of pregnancy. Even if her daughter is an ordinary person, Yuanjie will protect her for the rest of her life. But now it seems that her daughter's ability is too strong, and she can actually. Mother, my awakened pupil ability is. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345. Omniscient and Omnipotent? Such a pervert? Yes, as my mother understands, I can understand the past and the present, just like you, but I can also predict the future. I can even change things by appearing at a certain point in time. Yuanjie was stunned. This ability seems to be too against the sky, right? She asked worriedly. If you forcibly interfere, will it be contaminated with any bad cause and effect? Yuanjie smiled indifferently and said, yes, but it doesn't matter. Don't I have a good brother? He can cut off cause and effect. Yuanjie suddenly remembered, Yusuking's eldest son, isn't his devil pupil even stronger than the attack power of the world extinction god pupil? How can there be a connection with cause and effect? Yuanjie leaned over and echoed, it's not Yuanzimo, it's Yuandeoshin, the youngest son of the eldest lady, who was born 3 years later. You can know that too. Yu Menghan was stunned, not only knowing his brother's date of birth, but also knowing the other party's name and even ability. If you continue to spoil, it's not interesting. Yuanjie playfully spat at her little pink tongue and continued, I went back to the past a few days ago and helped my father deal with the 12 guardian god families that he couldn't deal with at that time. Yu Menghan had just accepted all the memories of the new timeline, and she asked curiously, which family? It won't be the third-ranked Shentujia, right? What kind of cow and horse is the Shentu family? Also worthy of letting me have a shot from the immortal monarch realm? Daddy can be destroyed. That was, on the day my father was born, the high family who chose to stand idly by. Yu Menghan was speechless. When I went over, I also told my father that I must be named Yuanjie, because I liked this name, but when I left, I suddenly remembered, you in the past, I met when I was a child, you must know my name. I seem to be redundant. Yu Menghan laughed and cried. She didn't expect her daughter to be so naughty, but her current memory doesn't seem to have this paragraph. Maybe it's the past timeline, she hasn't experienced it yet. Yuanjie stood up, hugged Yu Menghan from behind, and kissed him. Mother, you don't have to worry about me, the child is far stronger than you think. Daddy takes me out to fight, I will be able to keep him safe. Good, don't forget to cultivate. Oh, people have just come back, and they haven't drunk half a glass of water. How can you be ruthless? Immortal cultivation world, you can't have a moment of slack, you know. Got it. Yu Menghan in the past, I don't know what will happen in the future, and she is still immersed in happiness now. She curled up in Yuanjie's arms and looked at the starry sky with him. His embrace is so warm and reassuring. She has lived for a long time, it should be tens of millions of years, right? Finally, today, I found a happy home. From today on, she is no longer a wanderer, and there is a happy home by her side, with him, and them. In the future, she will also have a cute little daughter named Yuanjie. However, Yuanjie, at this time, thought of something, and he couldn't help but be full of sadness. What's wrong? Brother Ji sighed and said helplessly, I suddenly thought that one day, I will fly to the upper realm and leave this place. But, what about the Sharingan dynasty? I'm not going to give way to outsiders, am I? Yu Menghan's pretty face was flushed, like a ripe apple. She asked in a low voice, so, let's give birth to one quickly. Yuanjie was stunned. Good guy, is it so unrestrained? He scratched his head and said twistedly, my physique and yours are SSS-level, our children will definitely not be mortals, and Ta should have a broader world, isn't that simple? Then you go and find a mortal woman to give birth to one. Yuanjie said that he didn't understand, is he that kind of person? What's more, this is true, who is he looking for to give birth to? Not to mention that Yasuking will be furious, and he can't pass the threshold in his heart. Still that sentence, there is no emotional basis, Yuanjie can't accept it. Let's go, it's cold, Yu Menghan asked eagerly, then when will I give birth? Brother Ji had a strange expression, you seem to be looking forward to this. Yes, what woman doesn't want to be a mother? Yuanjie rubbed his hands and said embarrassedly, this, is the progress too fast, not fast at all. Or start now. Yuanjie is dumbfounded, he is anti-customer oriented? He didn't expect Yu Menghan to be such a woman. Abominable, sloppy. Take the sky as the cover, the earth as the public opinion, the 4 times as the horse, and the yin and yang as the royalty. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, on the wilderness hills, reflected in the clear moonlight. Wait a minute, someone, Yuanjie stopped. His white eyes are always observing the movements around him, but this is near the Byakugan Imperial Palace, and logically speaking, there should be no one passing by. Yu Menghan grabbed him and whispered softly in his ear. Leave him alone, let's continue. Yuanjie finally knew who the person who was peeking was. It turned out to be her. Good guy. One night without words, Yuanjie was in the Byakugan Imperial Palace and arranged a sleeping palace for Yu Menghan, right next door to Yasuking. Rain turned into snow and reluctantly cleaned up for her daughter, and her tears dripped uncontrollably. My daughter has grown up and found her own happiness, and I should be happy for her. She smiled and wiped the corners of her eyes. Mom, a pair of long legs entered the side of rain and snow. Yu Menghan hugged her tightly, her voice choked. Mother, I'm not going far away, the new clan land of the Yu family is near Byakugan. You can enter the palace to see me at any time when you have time. Good. Yu Huaxu patted her daughter's back and sighed, but she didn't sigh. Mother, my daughter thinks, should you also think about your life's events? Yu Menghan knew in her heart that the other party had never married for her own sake. Yu Hozu shook his head indifferently and said, my mother is old, so let's go with it. Yu Menghan secretly made up her mind that in the future, she must bring her adoptive mother with her. Everyone in the upper realm is like a dragon, and she will definitely meet her own happiness. Don't talk about this. When do you plan to marry Emperor Yuan? Wait for the day when my sister returns. We are not in a hurry. Yu Huaxu nodded. She knew what kind of character Emperor Yuan was, not the kind of flowery carrot. Her daughter married him. She was very relieved. It was a beautiful thing. Moreover, under this day, is there a more outstanding man than Emperor Yuan? No. No. Being able to marry Emperor Yuan is the ultimate wish of every single woman in this world. Even Wang Qing can burn his life for the sake of Emperor Yuan. Fortunately, her daughter, who rained and snowed, got her wish. Chapter 346. Have you packed up? Yuanjie came to the new clan land of the Yu family, and Sharon walked into Yu Menghan's room. Everyone in the Yu family was honored that the previous head of the family could marry Emperor Yuan. Emperor Yuan had been on the throne for 7 years, and the only concubine he had clearly wanted to marry before was Yisuking. 7 years later, another one was added. In fact, this speed is already very slow. Let other emperors take hundreds of concubines a year. Yu Menghan's success has given others hope. It turns out that Emperor Yuan is not invincible. He also has 7 emotions and 6 desires. They all plan to create an opportunity for the beautiful woman of their own family to meet Emperor Yuan by chance to see if they could create any sparks. Yisuking, who was dressed in a black tights, also followed. She was wearing a veil, and others could not see her peerless face clearly, only saw her beautiful figure. At a glance, you can tell that it is irrigated and ripe. Yu Menghan looked slightly green, like a kinking girl. Sister Menghan, is there anything else to clean up? I'll help you. Yu Huaxu hurriedly said, don't bother the queen mother-in-law, it's already cleaned up. Yisuking took Yu Menghan's little hand and ran to the side to eat snacks, and before leaving, he did not forget to give Yuanjie a blank eye. Brother Ji touched his nose. He said that he was innocent, he was passive. Then again, it seems that the 2 women in his life are both active. No, when the time comes, you must find the field in the shallows. Sister Menghan, how do you feel? What? Yu Menghan tilted his head to look at her. That's it, huh? Yu Menghan understood in seconds, and her pretty face turned red all of a sudden. Could it be that the person who peeked last night was her? Oops, shame on people. Yisuking didn't admit it. She said generously, I saw that your walking posture is not quite right today, and Xiaoji did not return all night last night, I guess. Yu Menghan's face was about to wring out water, and she said stickily, it's okay, it's okay. The 2 women were whispering on the side, while Yuanjie visited Yu Menghan's boudoir. The room is full of flowers, clean and tidy, and the items are placed in a very orderly manner, which is obsessive-compulsive at first glance. He walked to the front of the stage and found a picture frame on the table, and in the frame was a picture of him and her. The photo was taken in a staggered position, as if the 2 were holding hands, and the ears were quiet. It turns out that she is so obvious, but unfortunately I never found it. Pulling open the drawer, he found a diary inside, but he didn't look at it. Everyone should have their own private space. Yuanjie and Yisuking were persuaded to stay at Yu's house for dinner. Yu Hongke, the new head of the Yu family, is a young man, only 20 years old, and when he was 18 years old, he awakened his physique, and the strengthened part was the mind. Since then, he has shown a superhuman talent for business, so Yu Menghan took the initiative to abdicate and concentrate on running the Sharingan dynasty Ministry of Commerce. The Yu family has also developed rapidly, of course, this is inseparable from the solid foundation laid by Yu Menghan. Yu Hongke stood up, holding a cup in his hand and said to Yuanjie, Emperor Yuan, Xia Sheng toasts you a cup, thank you for your long-term support to the Yu family. Yuanjie just smiled, he didn't stand up, gently raised the cup, and nodded. Yu Hongke did not show any displeasure. In his opinion, it was already a great honor to be able to drink at the same table with Emperor Yuan. As we all know, Emperor Yuan has never participated in other family banquets, and it is the first time to come to the Yu family. And this time, it also sent a subtle signal to the outside world. At the dinner table, most people send blessings, and only a few people want power and profit in an upright way. They believe that as Yu Menghan's mother's family, they deserve more special care. Emperor Yuan, if you make a big decision today, in fact, our Yu family has many excellent students who have returned from graduating from Guozijian. I think that we can transfer scientific research projects in outer space to the Yu family, and we already have the ability to independently develop and research. Yuanjie was secretly unhappy in his heart, but he didn't show it. The project of outer space has always been assigned to the Huangfu family, led by them, and organized by the major families to collectively conquer. Are you good? You want to take it and develop it independently if you don't agree with a word? With such a large piece of bread, your mouth is quite big, but can you know it? Although the Huangfu family is not as 1/10 as much as the Yu family, it is still the second family. It can be said that the project of outer space is the lifeblood of the Huangfu family, and if it moves, it dies, and if it does not move, it prospers. Yuanjie gently picked up a dish and asked slowly, who in the Yu family has recently graduated from Guozijian? The man who proposed suddenly said nothing. He really hadn't understood. He thought he had a good idea. Fortunately, someone helped her out of the siege. Back to Emperor Yuan, there are rain 7, rain 3 sails, rain. Yuanjie interrupted his answer, I'm sorry, I haven't heard of it. Everyone's hearts were cold, and Emperor Yuan's meaning was already clear. He did not know that group of people, indicating that he did not recognize their knowledge at all. What excellent students. Guozijian came out, the real pillar of the country. Which one has not been received by the Yuan emperor? Someone did not give up and continued to propose. The commercial land of the Nile region, formerly the Black Duck country. Yuanjie pretended to be surprised and replied, won't it? That poor and remote place is also worth fighting for. Besides, the market there is cultivated by the Li family. You brazenly go to the back door to rob it. What do others think of your Yu family, and what will you think of me? The man who spoke quickly shrunk his neck and hurriedly apologized. Yes, it's the old man who is stupid. Okay, let's do it in the future. Don't think about what you have. Yuanjie put down his chopsticks and left directly. Emperor Yuan, there are still a lot of dishes left, Yu Hongke called. Yuanjie waved his hand. You guys eat slowly. Yi Suking and Yu Mengan followed out, and before Yu Mengan left, she gave her mother Yu Huaxa a look. The Rain family, indeed floated. This is a disease, it must be cured. After returning to Beijing Imperial Palace, Yuanjie habitually walked into Yi Suking's dormitory, but was pushed out by the other party. Go find Sister Menghan, she needs you. Yuanjie was stunned. I didn't want to let you stay alone in the empty room last night. Come and make up for it tonight? Let me take a vacation, okay? I'll turn in my homework tomorrow. Yuanjie smiled bitterly. He couldn't think of the troubles he had suffered in his previous life, and in this life, Yi Suking also experienced that sense of powerlessness. He grabbed Yi Suking, kissed the other party's forehead and said, You're not jealous? Yi Suking gave him a blank look. What's jealous? Am I that kind of woman? If I really still care about this, I won't match you with Sister Menghan. And what are you, tired? Yi Suking blushed and withdrew her from the room. Yes, I'm not only tired, I'm still in pain. Chapter 347. Yuanjie was helpless, walked to Yu Menghan's dormitory, and knocked lightly on the door. Come in. Yuanjie pushed the door and entered, only to see the other party changing the sheets. Here it comes. I was kicked out by her and had to come here. Brother Jay sighed. In fact, compared to Yu Menghan's youthfulness, he still prefers Yi Suking's wildness. However, it always takes time and frequency to exercise and grow. After Yu Menghan finished cleaning up, she walked over, sat on Yuanjie's lap, and gently hugged him. Smelling the refreshing fragrance of flowers on weekdays, but now it has become a deadly poison, and Yuanjie is a little unable to hold it. Wait a minute, what's wrong? I'll go wash first. Yu Menghan blushed. She knew what was going to happen later. She pulled her hair, and the two cat's ears shook. Swaying his posture, he gradually left Yuanjie's sight. Brother Ji lay on the big bed, looking up at the ceiling. All this was like a dream. He didn't know what was going on, and suddenly accepted Yu Menghan. He has always believed in fate, and if he had something to do with the other party in his previous life, he would silently add points to the other party in his heart. But Yu Menghan, a person in this world, how could he suddenly occupy a large area in his heart? He never understood this, and always felt that this relationship went too naturally. As if in the underworld, there seems to be providence. It took 7 years for two people to meet, get acquainted, get along, and fall in love, step by step. In his heart, he recognized Yu Menghan, and he even felt that marrying a wife should marry Yu Menghan. Let's put aside his appearance and figure, the other party's behavior and moral cultivation are very suitable for his appetite, and he is simply the ideal wife and the best choice. Hey, what do you want so much for? We are all together, so treat people well in the future. After a long time, Yu Menghan tiptoed out. It's not the same mood as last night, and now my good friend Yi Suking is only a wall away from herself. In fact, when she finished this morning, she was a little annoyed. How could she become like this? She is obviously a conservative woman. She actually did such a thing? Woohoo, so shy. Yuanjie used the Vientian heavenly guidance to pull her over. The two hugged each other face to face, feeling each other's breathing and heartbeat. Last night was too hasty, I didn't see clearly. Can you satisfy me tonight? Good, the whole world seems to be frozen, only the stars and candles remain, swaying in shining red waves. Another month passed, and Yuanjie didn't need his grandson's reminder, and he took the initiative to sweep the space teleportation formation around the world. He felt that it was still too light to kill the group of families who betrayed the Yuan family like this. He wanted to torture them so hard that they would be exiled into the void forever. Finally died in despair. It really let him meet one. The first person in the Chen family just came out of the void, and he was good to die against Yuanjie. The two people stared wide-eyed, not knowing what expression to make. In the end, it was the Chen family who spoke first. Stinky boy, go aside, don't hinder the birth of our Chen family, Tatsuya. Yuanjie was overjoyed, and the corners of his mouth hooked a meaningful smile. Snap, Yuanjie jumped up and slapped the other party away. You. The Chen family was furious, and when he rushed halfway, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. He's a big guy in the cultivation of flying immortal realm. Why did this little fart in front of him slap himself away? Is this reasonable? Definitely unreasonable. So, he vigilantly took up his weapon and confronted Yuanjie. He must solve the little fart in front of him as soon as possible, and the clansmen are still waiting for them to completely open the teleportation channel in the outside world. What plane? Why hasn't the channel been open yet? His sea of knowledge came the voice of the head of the family. He said silently in his heart, Master, I'm in trouble, and a green-eyed little fart is blocking my way. What? Green eyes? The head of the Chen family was immediately shocked, but quickly calmed down. It can't be that monster in Yuanjie. He has long died, he can't die anymore, and there is no possibility of survival. Besides, the resurrection technique he had learned generally only resurrected a body, and cultivation could not be inherited. You'd better solve the problem quickly, otherwise you look good. Yes, Master. Chen Zilong's face sank, and he said maliciously, Stinky boy, I advise you to be sensible. I don't have any seriousness, don't know what to do? That's fine, I just don't want you to pity me. Yuanjie smiled faintly on his face. Abominable. Find death. Chen Zilong was enraged, his abdomen collapsed, and he exhaled deeply, straightening his chest. Burning the plains, a fierce flame shot out from his air, raising the temperature of this heaven and earth by 10,000 degrees in vain. Yuanjie's vision became blurry, and he was like that. Under Chen Zilong's shocked gaze, he spewed out flames that were 100 times more violent than him. Who the hell are you? Chenzi Dragon was stinging from being roasted. He is the Chen family. Everyone knows that the ancestor of the Chen family inherited the bloodline of the true dragon, and the least afraid is the flame. However, the fire spewed out by that little fart boy made Chen Zilong feel uncomfortable for the first time. Yuanjie's heat increased again, and Chen Zilong suddenly sensed the crisis. Nope. You can't do anything to me, I'm from the Guchen family, Yuanjie said disdainfully. I don't care if you are the Chen family or the Pai family, I Yuanjie killed your Chen family rebel thief, Yuanjie? You are Yuanjie? Chen Zilong was horrified. When he was a child, he had already heard of Yuanjie's great name. He once regarded Yuanjie as an idol. However, didn't Yuanjie die 100,000 years ago? Half of his head is still in the ancestral shrine of the Chen family. Yuanjie, when the head of the Chen family heard this bad news, he panicked. I never expected that a big guy who had died for 100,000 years would ask for their lives today. So, he immediately used the secret method and possessed Chen Zilong. Brother Don, leave someone under the knife, leave you paralyzed. Yuanjie continued to increase his firepower. Don't have something to say, when our Chen family goes out, we will definitely be the first to look at you. Yuanjie laughed, and then his face turned cold. I won't believe a word of what you say. Chen Zilong's face turned gloomy. Is there nothing to talk about? Then stop talking. The head of the Chen family used a secret method to transmit all the divine power of the Void Clan to the Chen Zilong in a special way. Chen Zilong's aura suddenly skyrocketed, but Yuanjie did not panic at all. Chenjia, you are still as wasteful as ever. Yuanjie's eyes froze, and he was about to start exerting his full strength. Chapter 348. The flame that spewed out just now. To be honest, even 1,000th of Yuanjie's divine power before his life was not enough. Yuanjie's pupil technique, although not as good as his grandfather's creation god pupil, can only be reproduced and cannot evolve. However, he has a unique advantage, that is, his physique comes with super spiritual power that is tens of millions of times more than ordinary people. Therefore, even if Chen Zilong sucked all the clansmen in the void dry, it was not comparable to the Yuanjie before his death. What's more, it is the Yuanjie in the state of rebirth of the soil, and the infinite divine power is even more terrifying. This time, let you see how terrifying the real god really is. Boom! Yuanjie took a big breath, put his hands together on his waist, and then puffed out a mouthful of flames. The flames that fluttered in the sky were endless, and even filled the entire heaven and earth. Fortunately, this is a wilderness and few people pass by. Chen Zilong instantly felt the hot impact brought by this flame. He quickly pinched out a magic seal and erected a thick wall of fire in front of him. Ha, Yuanjie, you didn't expect it, did you? The Agni Flame Plane is just the lowest level of my Chen family's technique, and what is truly famous in the world is this water and sky. The corner of Yuanjie's mouth sneered, then let's see if it is my flame that is powerful, or your water wall is mighty. It is said that water and fire are incompatible, and when two things collide, one of them will be annihilated. The flames and the wall of water collided in the air, and in an instant, a thick fog of water vapor floated. Chenzi Dragon has a good heart, he doesn't believe it, he is now gathering the strength of the whole clan. What is the other party blocking? However, his sneer suddenly froze. What? He watched as the flames erupted from Yuanjie's mouth overturned a wall of water. A heart-rending scream sounded, and you can imagine how much pain Chen Zilong was enduring. As a descendant of the Chen family, he should have perfectly inherited the true dragon physique of his ancestors who were not afraid of fire, but why? Why does it still hurt so much? This burning hot pain was the first time he felt it. Of course, it was the last time. The screams didn't last long before they fell silent. Yuanjie stopped his attack and waved his hand casually, allowing the flames to make way for a path. I saw a charred corpse, lying on the ground, dead no more. The people of the Chen family in the different space spat out a mouthful of blood. The object of the divine power transfer died, so that they were eaten back. The head of the Chen family looked stunned, he couldn't figure it out. Why couldn't he beat it? There are many things that he can't figure out. First of all, he doesn't know how Yuanjie was resurrected. Secondly, who is the one who resurrected him? Why is the skill so big? Can it also give Yuanjie's terrifying strength before his death? Even the innate physique can be restored 1-to-1? In the end, he really couldn't figure it out. How could 5,000 clansmen give Chen Zilong power? How could he not defeat it? Chen Zilong's original cultivation had reached the 5th order of the flying immortal realm, coupled with such a terrifying divine power transmission. Its divine power content definitely exceeded that of the flying immortal realm. Why? Yuanjie broke through the void prohibition and stepped into the alien space that the Chen family had been lurking for a long time. Yuanjie, the head of the Chen family, participated in that battle back then, and he still remembered this god of war with one enemy in 200. Although he respects Yuanjie very much, the two have different positions, and they will not have the opportunity to become friends, but can only become mortal enemies. The head of the Chen family gritted his teeth, and he looked fiercely at the figure in the air. Goodbye, Yuanjie smiled and made a goodbye gesture, but then he turned around and added, no, it should be never again. The head of the Chen family suddenly thought of something, and he flew into the sky anxiously, wanting to stop the evil behavior behind Yuanjie. He had already guessed what Yuanjie wanted to do. However, when he just flew into the air, he was blocked by a mighty force. Abominable. The head of the Chen family had a gloomy face, and it seemed that the Chen family would have to wait a few more years to be reborn. But is it really that simple? He suddenly felt that some drastic change was taking place in the void. Not good. He turned around and wanted to fly back into the enchantment. But the void turbulence was faster than his speed, and it didn't take long to devour his figure. Master. The people of the Chen family saw that the head of the family was devoured by the void turbulence, but there was nothing they could do. Then, the void turbulence washed towards the drifting island. Some of the older generation in the clan said calmly, "Don't be afraid, this level of void turbulence, we have experienced in 100,000 years, I don't know how much." Before the words were finished, the void turbulence destroyed the enchantment set up by the Tatsumi family in response to unexpected situations without hindrance. Could it be that my Chen family is going to die here today? Boom! The void turbulence destroyed most of the island where the Tatsui lived, and countless clansmen lost their lives. Only a few hundred people remained, looking at the vanished land with trepidation. I don't know if I was lucky or unfortunate to survive. Yuanjie completely destroyed the space teleportation formation left by the Chen family in the outside world, and then flew away. As for the strong destruction, which led to spatial disorder and caused the appearance of void turbulence, he did not know this situation. Yuanjie silently crossed out the name of the Chen family on the small book. By now, the Zi family, the Ning family, the Yin family, and the Chen family had been born, except for the Zi family that was taken in and completely turned into a real dog. The other three families have all been destroyed. There are also the K family and the Huangfu family. These two families did not choose to enter the void back then, but stayed in the mortal world. Among them, the K family became unbearable due to the weakening of the laws of heaven and became a wealthy family, and even the family was not even a family. Fortunately, there is still a drop of Yuanjie's blood in the ancestral shrine of the K family, giving him the opportunity to be reborn by his grandson. As for the Huangfu family, their ancestors were quite clever, lying in the coffin themselves, leaving the clan to develop outside. Because the exercises were very good, far ahead of other families in this world. The Huangfu family was not buried, but strong for tens of thousands of years. As for the existing Wang family, Yuanjie investigated clearly. This Wang family was not the Wang family of his time, but the casual workers in the Wang family at that time, who at the beginning held the banner of the Wang family and swaggered and developed. However, after so many years of development, it has a certain scale. It turns out that with so many families, only the Huangfu family is the smartest. The dead die, and the living do not know where to die. At the same time, Yuanjie felt that the Yu family's road to prosperity was worth referring to. The strength of the Yu family's own clan is not very good, but they can't help but have money. If you have money, you can buy more masters and work for them. Yuanjie returned to the Beijing Imperial Palace and told his grandson the news of the destruction of the Chen family as soon as possible. Yuanjie is overjoyed, his grandfather is really reliable. However, he thought of the 12 guardian families, except for the Yi family that was destroyed by the 9 families, that is to say, now they are in the hidden door of the void. There are at least 5 more families. Seeing his grandson's sad face, Yuanjie patted the other party's shoulder and comforted, "You don't have to worry too much, in fact, they are not terrible. Besides, when did our sons and daughters of the Yuan family ever be afraid of others? Yes, as a descendant of the Yuan family, you should have an invincible mentality. Soldiers come to block, water comes to cover the soil, no one can fight. By the way, I heard that your kid has finally developed his knack recently?" Yuanjie suddenly reprimanded with a straight face. Yuanjie was puzzled. That woman from the Yu family, after pursuing you for so many years, you are finally willing to let go and accept her? Yuanjie touched his head embarrassedly. Yes, is there any? Yuanjie sneered, of course there is. Discerning people can see that people like you, but what about you, but turned a blind eye. I really don't know if you kid is a hard-hearted man or a straight man of steel. Yuanjie was speechless. Do you think he didn't know? In fact, he knows better than anyone. But how can the matter of marrying a wife be casual? It is said that the wife is rich for 3 generations, but the person who accompanies him in the second half of his life must have an emotional foundation. Otherwise, when doing things, it is not enjoyment, but more work. Yuanjie sighed. Alice, I told you a long time ago that the higher the physique, the lower the pregnancy rate. You look at you, there has been no movement for several years. I don't even know when I'll be able to sign up for my great-grandson. Good guy. After urging marriage, it began to give birth. Sure enough, the older generation of people, do they love to do this? Is it to give birth to the first one in the future, and then give birth to the second? Anyway, the Yuan family has a big business, and they are not afraid to raise it, right? However, Yuanjie has only been with Yumengan for 2.5 weeks, and his mentality is very stable. He and Yi Suking have been working hard every day for 2 years, and Yi Suking's stomach still hasn't moved. Recently, I don't know why, Yuanjie ran to find Yumengan almost every day. Yumengan was trained by him to become more and more charming. Fortunately, Yi Suking didn't say much, but instead worked high-intensity 3-day shifts and could rest for 2 days. Only Brother Ji worked overtime every day. If it weren't for his good physical fitness, he might really not be able to bear it. In the evening, Yuanjie, Yi Suking and Yumengan sat down to eat together. Dinner was made by Yumengan herself. If you expect Yi Suking to cook now, wait to starve to death. Since coming to this new world, Yi Suking has become more and more lazy. Maybe without 996, the whole person began to rot, and slept every day until 3 o'clock in the morning before waking up. Anyway, with Yumengan taking care of him, she was happy. There was no way before, he only had his own girlfriend, she didn't take care of him, who would take care of him? Now it's good, one more person, although there is an extra pair of bowls and chopsticks, but idle. Yi Suking felt more and more, it seems that a few more sisters are not bad. Dinner, always made by Yumengan himself, said that the meals made by the imperial chef were not healthy. Yuanjie and Yi Suking also love to eat, because the meals she makes always have a fragrance in them. Eating and eating, Yumengan suddenly frowned, and she suddenly felt that the food was a little disgusting and nauseated. Disgusting? Yuanjie and Yi Suking's gaze was instantly attracted by her subtle actions. What's wrong with you? Is it uncomfortable? Brother Ji asked her anxiously. Yumengan shook her head with a smile and said, it's okay, maybe I slept too late lately. Yi Suking gave him a blank look, as if he was blaming him, seeing that you tossed our Mengan's sister. Is the food unappetizing? Or is it something that hurts your body? Or is it not enough rest? Yuanjie threw out 3 soul questions, which made Yumengan cry and laugh. However, he cared so much about himself, and he couldn't wait for him to suffer for her eagerness. Yumengan's heart was as sweet as eating honey. But how could a man suffer for a woman in that matter? Yumengan suddenly blushed, caressed her stomach with her right hand, and whispered, I may have it, I blanch. Imperial Doctor. Yuanjie quickly ran out and shouted. After waiting for 3 seconds, feeling that the Imperial Doctor was coming too slowly, a flying thunder god came to Jiang Tai's home, and the family was eating at home, and suddenly he was taken away. Dr. Jiang's wife was stunned. I see, like I saw a figure, you saw it too. Yes, it seems to be the Yuan Emperor. Dr. Jiang's wives and concubines chattered and discussed. In the Beijing Imperial Palace, Imperial physician Zhang was so shocked that he didn't even know what was happening. Emperor Yuan? Why are you so anxious to summon the old minister over? Quick, take the pulse. Yuanjie didn't wait for him to agree, and pulled it in directly. As soon as Yumengan sat down behind the curtain, the person came to the door. Emperor Yuan, I left too quickly just now, and the old minister's tools have not yet been taken. Yuanjie understood in seconds and said, you wait. The sign flashed for a moment, and then 10 seconds later, he returned. I moved all the things in your room, see for yourself, what you need. Imperial Dr. Zhang couldn't cry or laugh. This Yuan Emperor, it really is. He did not dare to slack, picked out a red line from it, and handed it to Yuanjie. Please Emperor Yuan. Tie this rope to the other party's wrist. Before he finished speaking, Yuanjie entered the gauze curtain with a roar and tied the red rope to Yumengan's wrist. Meet Yi Hao, meet concubine men. Dr. Zhang did not forget the number of gifts. He first saluted and sat down, and then looked at Yuanjie, as if asking, can it start? Brother Ji only felt that this person was grinding and chirping. Where did he need so much red tape here? Let's get started, okay. Dr. Zhang rolled up the red rope and closed his eyes. Yuanjie clenched his fists nervously, and Yi Suking was also very apprehensive. After a while, his face changed slightly, and he looked at Yuanjie in disbelief. Then, he quickly knelt down and shouted, congratulations to Emperor Yuan, happy noble son. Concubine Meng, this is a joyful pulse. God bless Sharingan, there are people in the future. It was as if there was a thunderbolt on a sunny day, putting Yuanjie town in place. I'm going to be a dad? I'm going to be a dad? Am I really going to be a dad? Yuanjie trembled his voice and asked him again, no kidding, right? Dr. Zhang bowed his head, the old minister doesn't dare to joke about this, good. 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 Yuanjie laughed, so he helped Zhang Taiyi up and opened the time and space passage for him. You have a good diagnosis, and there will be another reward later, and remember to receive the order when the time comes. Imperial physician Zhang bowed. It is the responsibility of the courtiers to share the worries for Emperor Yuan. Don't dare to talk about merit and reward. Okay, you go back. Yuanjie waved his hand. Don't say polite words, I know you want it. After Dr. Zhang left, Yuanjie rushed in, picked Yu Menghan up, and kissed her fiercely, leaving Yi Suking alone in the wind. No, it's only been a few days? And where do you have it? Chapter 349. You tap, hold me too tight. Yuanjie quickly recovered, and he scratched his head blandly. Also, after all, you are pregnant now, you have to pay attention. Yu Menghan gave him a white look and muttered, she's still young, she doesn't know anything, moreover, she is not as fragile as you think. The eyes of the two softened and looked at Yu Menghan's lower abdomen together. There, a little life is being conceived. That's their child. Then tonight, Yuanjie rubbed his hands. You go and accompany Sister Suking. Yuanjie looked back and saw Yi Suking looking at him with a complaining face, and stomped his foot angrily. She didn't understand why Yu Menghan had it so quickly. It must be Yuanjie's problem. I'll blame him. Shoot so accurately. The two women, Shirin, left the restaurant and returned to the dormitory. After closing the door, Yi Suking quickly pulled Yu Menghan to the side of the bed and looked at each other expectantly. Sister Menghan, teach me quickly. What posture is it easy to win? Yu Menghan couldn't laugh or cry, she had to tell the truth. Sister Suking, actually, things are not what you imagined, my physique is special, I can specify when I get pregnant, and even the gender of the child, as well as the time of birth. Yi Suking was shocked, can he still play like this? Yu Menghan lowered her head shyly and said, actually, I've been picking the right match these days, otherwise I would have been pregnant on the first night. Yi Suking is envious to death. This kind of magical physique, she really wants to have she lived 2 lifetimes, did not become a mother, did not give birth to a son and a daughter for the one she loved the most. However, children are gifts from God, and they pay attention to fate, which cannot be forced, and when fate comes, it will naturally come. She tightly held Yu Menghan's small hand and asked softly, then you plan, is the first child a boy or a girl? Yu Menghan looked into the distance, her face full of tenderness. Girl, because I've seen her. She's cute. What? When have you seen your child? Yi Suking's eyes widened, and she was shocked. Yu Menghan was hesitating whether to tell her, and then thought about it. Now that the reality has changed, it doesn't hurt to tell her. About 100,000 years ago, I accidentally traveled to the future and met my daughter. She is really cute. 2 chubby little hands, always love to grab into the air. Moreover, she loves to laugh. When she sees a person, she laughs, and her eyes narrowed with laughter. Speaking of her daughter, Yu Menghan is not sleepy. You're actually in the future. Yi Suking paid attention to how cute the little baby described by the other party was, and did not notice the 4 words 100,000 years ago. Yi Suking asked her excitedly, what about me? Do I have children in my future? Yu Menghan suddenly spoke. She didn't remember it. It is precisely because she is not pregnant, but Yu Menghan, who married in later, is pregnant, so she has a grudge and is very bad for the future Yu Menghan, which can be said to be difficult everywhere. However, that is all the past future, and now, it seems that it will not be. Yu Menghan nodded and made up a white lie for her. Yi Suking was very happy, and she continued to ask, is it a son or a daughter? Son. Yu Menghan is almost unable to make it up. Fortunately, Yi Suking laughed to himself, okay, son is good, so is Ioji's words, both children and daughters. She didn't continue asking, she was afraid that the more information she knew about the future, the more she would invisibly change her life. Let's go with the flow. Since she knows that she will have a son in the future, it means that she and Yuanjie's body is fine. There's only one problem, fate has not yet arrived. Okay, it's late, you rest, I'll call Ioji over to help you warm the bed. Yu Menghan breathed a sigh of relief. She sincerely took Yi Suking's hand and said, sister, no need, let him accompany you tonight. Takako early. Hey, Yi Suking gave the other party a you really understand me look, and jumped away. Late at night, in Yi Suking's dormitory, the lights were bright, and there were faint shadows moving. On the other side, Yu Menghen's dormitory was dark. In the darkness, the figure of a handsome woman gradually emerged. "Mother, this is the first dress that my future mother helped me knit. Let me send it." The handsome woman's eyes flashed with a faint black and white light, and she leaned over, closed her eyes, and rested her head on Yu Menghen's lower abdomen. "I'm still a little one. You must be obedient. Remember not to kick your mother in the future. When you are born, I will come to see you again and give you a great gift when the time comes. Mother, good night." Yuanqianyu gently kissed Yu Menghen's forehead. She tiptoed to open and close the door, intending to give her father a gift. Unexpectedly, the next door was brightly lit. She blushed all of a sudden, and sighed faintly. The eldest lady has not changed. She has worked hard as always. She is still at work so late. So she quietly put the gift outside the door, and when she turned to leave, a 5-year-old child behind her stared silently at her. "Ugh!" Yuanqianyu was startled and screamed, and she quickly covered her mouth. When she came over, she obviously blocked all her breath, and if Yuanjie's white eyes hadn't opened, she wouldn't have been able to find her at all. In order to prevent the little boy from doing bad, Yuanqianyu waved his hand, and the two stepped into the river of time. This is different from the void, more like the outer star field. Every twinkling star, if you look closer, you can find that it is your past, or the future. The two stood on a bright river of stars. Yuanjie said in a deep voice, "Who are you? What do you want?" Although he is as stable as an old dog on the surface, he is actually panicked inside. "How come? What the hell is this spell? I can't actually replicate?" Yuanjie can reproduce the other party's big move without limit, but if it is a gifted power, he is powerless. Yuanqianyu didn't know him at all, because the Yuan Xiansheng she had seen since she was a child was 18 years old. This 5-year-old child, to be honest, she really hasn't seen it, doesn't know it. Moreover, she has not deduced the other party's past, but she has seen it in the future. There is no big problem. If there is a problem, it doesn't matter, she will shoot. Yuanjie looked at the handsome woman in front of him, closed his eyes. He was curious if the other party could see him. But the terrifying aura she invisibly exuded made him feel very palpitated. Even if it is his current filthy earth reincarnation that could theoretically be immortal, I am afraid that it will be directly exploded by the other party. Yuanqianyu tilted his head and looked at the other party carefully, recognizing that this was the character reborn from his father's dirty soil. However, since it was reborn from the soil, it means that it is either controlled by the father or as a close person. In her impression, her father rarely used this trick. Moreover, she felt a sense of intimacy from the bloodline from the other party. "Who are you again? What is your relationship with my father?" Chapter 350. Your father. Yuanjie frowned. He was even more puzzled. In the Byakugan Imperial Palace, except for Yuanjie, there was only one man left. Could it be that she is Xiaojing? When he sent his family away, Xiaojing was only 10 years old, but by then, he had already become a child. His own daughter Yuan Jingsu, if standing in front of him, she would definitely recognize him. That kind of family affection that is deep in the blood, no matter how many years have passed, cannot be erased. Moreover, Xiaojing's talent is mediocre, only SS level. It's not that he looks down on his daughter, it's really difficult to cultivate to such an unfathomable realm at this age. Since it is not Xiaojing's words, there may be only one explanation. Your father, is Yuanjie? Yuanjie asked tentatively. Yuanqianyu nodded seriously. Really? Yuanjie couldn't help but show joy. Good fellow, I didn't expect that his good grandson looked like an honest person, and as a result, he didn't tell him if there were illegitimate daughters outside. What makes him think day and night? How bad? He rushed over and grabbed Yuanqianyu's hand, looked up and smiled. Girl, I am your grandfather, huh? This time it was Yuanqianyu's turn to be shocked. Grandpa Tai, did you die once? Listen, what is this special thing to say? However, Yuanjie didn't care. He knew that Yuanjie could give birth, and there was such a beautiful and lovely daughter. He was too late to be happy. Come, squat down, let Grandpa Tai take a good look at you. Yuanqianyu squatted down silently, and the more Yuanjie looked at it, the more he liked it. But the other party's cat ears and cat tail immediately made him think of a person. Your mother. But Yu Menghen? Yuanqianyu nodded obediently. Yuanjie? What's going on with this Nima? Did Yu Menghen get involved with Yuanjie some time ago? Why did a daughter who grew so big suddenly appear? Could it be that he put a hat on his grandson? It's not right. What she clearly said is that her father is Yuanjie. Yuan Qianyu noticed that Yuan Tian's face was constantly changing, and she knew that the other party wanted to be crooked. So she explained, "Grandpa, I am from the future." I blanch. Yuanshan is even more difficult to accept. If the other party really came from the future, then the cultivation laws he had always believed in would be ruthlessly destroyed. I have never heard that a cultivator can cross time at will. He felt that the other party was deliberately teasing his little old man. I don't believe it. You must not be my great-granddaughter. The characteristic of Yuanjie is Xianjiao's eyes, and the other party has closed eyes, which is incompatible with imagination. What's more, his grandson is a top-level physique with pure blood, and Yu Menghun is one of the 5 divine beasts, and the children of the 2 of them definitely can't be waste. Even surpass them. Thinking of this, Yuanshan's expression suddenly became strange, and he asked uncertainly, "Really didn't lie to me, really, Grandpa Tai, I'm really your great-granddaughter." Yuan Qianyu just activated his left eye to deduce the past of Yuan Yan, and determined that this little fart in front of him, a good guy, really looked like his grandfather was 5 years old. Of course, she didn't finish reading it, and when she saw that she was 5 years old, she closed it. For her own family, she still has leeway. Yuan Tian saw the other party's eyes closed, and thought that she was suffering from some terminal illness. He could even imagine that in the future, she would definitely be criticized a lot, right? But this is his great-granddaughter. He choked up with great distress. "Girl, then your eyes?" Yuan Qianyu smiled mysteriously and quietly opened his eyes. In the whirlpool of black and white, there seems to be something strange, which makes people can't help but fall into it. However, Yuanshan is now a dead man, so these eyes have no effect on him. Yuanshan patted his small chest, and the stone in his heart suddenly relaxed. It's okay, although I don't know what the other party's pupil technique is, but if there is a different pupil, none of the Yuan family's pupil technique is weak, all of them are perverted level abilities. After the two chatted for a while, Yuanshan asked curiously, "Do you have any plans to go back to the past this time?" "No, it's just a dress for my unborn me." Yuan Qianyu never expected that he would actually meet the grandfather of this timeline, but the current grandfather seems to be in a bad situation. Yuanshan, he was simply speechless. Just send a dress. As for the big trouble? If someone told him that I went back in time just to deliver a dress, he would scold him Sabi. However, it was his great-granddaughter who did this, and it was different. He just thought, wow, my great-granddaughter is so affectionate. Loved. Are you leaving? Yuanshan noticed the look in the other party's eyes. Yuan Qianyu nodded silently and said, "Yes, Grandpa Tai, my current cultivation is too low, each crossing can only last half an hour, and I have to go back soon, otherwise it will be very troublesome." Even if he was reluctant, Yuanshan let go of her hand. Go, the future matters, Goodbye Grandpa Tai. Yuan Qianyu pushed Yuan Tian out of the river of time. On the way, Yuanshan felt that his memory was becoming more and more blurry, and every step he took seemed to cast a haze in his mind. "When will I be able to see you again, my good great-granddaughter?" "A year later, I'll be here." Boom. Yuanshan returned to Byakugan's dormitory. He shook his head and suddenly frowned. "What's going on with me? How did you suddenly get here?" So, with doubts, he slowly walked towards his dormitory. Yuan Qianyu returned to the future, and she slowly opened her eyes. She walked to the window and stared not far away, at Grandpa's room, which was now brightly lit. "I'm sorry Grandpa Tai, the memory of the river of time cannot be saved. When you say goodbye, you probably won't remember that I was here." At 7 a.m., the fighting ended. Yuanjie was going to the morning dynasty, and Yi Suking closed her eyes with a satisfied face. She was going to rest. And Brother Ji was busy all night, and he had to get up early in the morning to go to the morning dynasty. Alice, it's not easy for men. That being said, Brother J enjoyed it. The big one declares the cloth, the small one has the playbook, and the table plays. The loud voice of the palace maid echoed in the hall. Yuanjie sat on a high dragon chair and looked down at the Manchu dynasty Wenwu below. Everyone wants to be an emperor, but is an emperor really that good? In fact, they just want that supreme power, let their fate be controlled by him. For an emperor who is diligent and loves the people, this identity is both an honor and an indescribable heaviness. At this time, Marshal Li stepped forward and reported. "Emperor Qi Yuan, There has been a reaction from the people on the seaside recently, and the big demon of the sea tribe has frequently attacked. Sea tribe? Yuanjie suddenly remembered the peerless woman. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.